for the summer, I'd be interested in it. There was no approval to like hire anybody, but just was in some kind of a negotiation to go, hey, can you bring him on even? Well, they're not even coming to an agreement, so.
So are you guys-
I didn't think it would actually even happen, so.
I had a phone call, 2 of them, and I asked him, they said, he quit down in McIntosh County. I said, I have no idea. And then he was a trainee at the Hague elevator, am I right around?
Yeah.
That's what I was told that too, is that he was gonna go to work for Integra, but he would love to run a blade, and everybody down there wants him to run a blade, so I started getting this flurry of phone calls asking why we're not hiring David Crum, and I said, I don't know anything about it. Well, Skylar didn't even know anything about it. There was apparently this whole big idea that we were gonna hire David Crum back because he was working somewhere other than a blade operator. Well, I didn't, and then obviously David started talking to Skylar, and I said, Skylar, if you can get him to, agree to something.
Why don't we know about that?
So,
Why do we know when these discussions have taken place as board members?
well, all it was a
Why is
discussion
there
that can you even negotiate, that, all I told him is can you even negotiate something for us to talk about? That's it.
It's coming up now, that's why
I hear it, but why is it under, you don't even hear about it?
well, I mean, it was.
Why did he leave McIntosh?
I don't know.
If he likes to run blades so well?
I don't know, sounds like, I guess, I don't know.
I'm
just
not
checking on
advocating
his
one way or
history.
the other, what I'm telling you is that I had a bunch of people down in Hague that want him back. I asked Skylar if it was even a possibility and if he even wanted him back, and he said, well, I'll talk to him. And I said, well, if you talk to him, then bring something forward to us, we'll make a decision if we wanna bring him back.
That's the same thing.
I mean, checking into it, like you said, there wasn't a decision getting made, that's where, the only reason I'm asking about it is cause I found out about it, me and Skylar were the last ones to know about it, everybody in Hague already apparently.
Well, I didn't know about it either until I talked to Skylar, and then Skylar said that he was probably interested in it.
Right, I didn't even know there was even a possibility of him even interested in
Then
coming back.
Then I talked to David, I called David and asked him, yeah, he said, I'd probably do it for the summer, he said, I don't want no rainy days, I'd stay home, whatever, just, I wanna work just through the summer, and that'll be, to help out blade the roads, because the people down there would like to blade the roads down there, pretty much, But I don't know how far are you
Well,
off?
there's people that like to have the roads blade all over the place, to be honest with you.
Well, I know, but
Well, it wouldn't just be that, the idea is we have a temporary position open, if we could find someone, it doesn't have to be David Crum, it's just that conversation came
Well,
up.
I'm not objected to it, I think we need to excavate right now anyway, but,
David Crum down there, I mean, he did a good job down there, he knows what he's doing, and everybody liked him down there, so, give him a blade and let him do his job.
but before we go making conversation, I agree with Dan, the whole board should know what's going on.
That's why we're talking about it.
Now, but
Now-
this was going on for a week or two, or, but they were making conversation, that's what I'm saying, this whole board should know stuff like that,
Huh?
This is what bothers me since I've been on here.
What?
These discussions take place and no one is informed about it, and it was said, I will not let that happen again, I will inform you. And you come into a meeting and you get caught cold turkey. I don't go for that.
There's nobody called cold turkey here, it was brought up, okay, how do you think the discussion starts, is even started out to begin with? Hey, I might be interested in working for the county again, so they come and ask somebody, and now here we bring it to a meeting, and when are we supposed to, who's supposed to call?
He left, when I was on the board, I come in new, and he left this, county road department. He was put on probation when you were not reprimanded, whatever, it was supposed to have been reprimanded after the fact, it didn't take place. And
I think
Crum
I got a
resigned.
letter in my file, like, that's what my reprimand. I mean, we're muddying the waters here, like, he retired, he retired from the Emmons County, and,
He retired?
Well, he was put in a bad spot there,
well, quit, I don't know, I mean, you
He
wanna call it
resigned,
quit, you
huh?
wanna retire, whatever you wanna call it.
Yeah, I would say resign is probably the proper term, yeah.
And then he left McIntosh, he resigned there.
I don't know what happened there, I mean, maybe he didn't wanna work there, I have no idea what happened after that. But he said he'd be interested in working for this, so now it's brought up at a meeting, it's not like nothing was
Okay.
going on for 2 months. You know what I mean?
Right, and I'm just telling you that I found out David was interested in coming back to Emmons County. I called Skylar and I said, would that even be an issue, or would that even be something that you would even entertain? Because these people are begging, wondering why we won't hire David back. I didn't know he was looking for a job. I told Skylar if he calls you, or if you wanna call him and figure out what the terms would even be, and then let us know. And then that was the discussion, that was probably about, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, a week ago.
And that's discussion I
And that, I
had.
mean, I didn't even know, I mean, it might not even be a possibility, maybe it's a rumor. Well, David contacted him, they were negotiating what would even take to get David back, and then we make a decision on that. We don't have to make a decision today, tomorrow, I don't know, I mean,
That's exactly how it happened
That's-
to me.
that's
Then
the
I called
only-
Skylar, and then I called David, and just asked David, he said, would you be interested? Does it sound like you,
Yeah.
he said, yeah, I'd probably
and to
be.
be clear, I haven't talked to David. The only conversation I had was with Skylar and probably, like I said, the 10 to 15 people that called me wondering why we're not hiring David back, even though I didn't know was on the job. So I called Skylar, so there's no decision that's been made and nothing has to be made. If you don't wanna hire him, that's absolutely fine, and I'm not saying I'm totally in favor of bringing it on too. I think if we can bring on help, it doesn't matter who it is, if they can run a blade and can get in the blade, and that's fine. And same thing with the summer idea, we've talked about that for years, if you could get someone to just run it for 3-4 months. I know, I've had a couple people ask me, one of them's David Schlittenhardt from up by Braddock, but he said he doesn't want a full-time job, he only wants to work like 2-3 days a week. Maybe that's useful, maybe that's hard to manage, because those 3 days that you need him are the 3 days you maybe doesn't work, I don't know, so.
Are we back to a 5-day week?
No. 4/10s.
Do we have to help our hours go to a 5-10 or 5/8?
Well, 5/8 are gonna get less work done than 4/10s, that's been a proven fact
Five,
for
eight, to figure
years.
out when you're out there, it takes.
We can do 5/10s, but remember, we have to run on a budget, right? So we submit our budget, this is what we figure we're gonna spend this year. We calculate in a little bit of overtime. And then in the middle of the season, we wanna change it now, and that's hard to the budget, right? So if we're gonna do that, why even do a budget? Right, just be like, here's the checkbook, get stuff done. I mean, it's very tough to change it mid-season, I mean, we're just starting summertime, I get it. It's been raining for quite a few days, the first year I was here, it rained a lot, and we went through the same thing. A lot of meetings down there, a lot of people coming in, we gave them gravel, dried up a little bit, then it was nice. I mean, are our roads perfect? No. Not hardly. Are any county roads in this state that have been taking this rain perfect? Absolutely not. Do we have the worst? Depends on who you talk to.
4/10s, is that Monday, Tuesday through Thursday, or is that,
Thursday.
say, like yesterday, could they have taken that off and moved it to Friday?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say too, I mean,
Why can't we do that?
some of that stuff is, I mean, people are really complaining. I mean, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, nobody's out there playing. Now we got 3 rain days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it rains, so now they work those 3 days, and then they got Thursday off. Thursday they can go out and play, now they could probably play Friday and Saturday, nobody's working. You know what I mean?
So you want them to take off in the middle of the week,
If you're
If
gonna
it's
rain, if it's
raining.
gonna-
and then come in on a weekend and get paid straight time?
If that's what I don't know.
Or on a Friday, well, Friday's not a weekend.
Right, Friday's not a work weekend.
Right.
I'm just saying, if it rains 2 days.
But then you guys gotta understand, like, then nothing else gets fixed in the shops when they're gone, like, do you think we just stand around playing cards in the shop on rain days?
I didn't say that.
We
I
didn't say
mean-
that.
I know, but that's, you want them to send them home now, so that's the days we fix stuff and organize
Well,
stuff
when you
and
get
get
this
stuff
much
done.
rain, when you get this much rain.
Right, we can do that if you guys want, but, we had a meeting this morning, I said the next 2 weekends are open, you guys wanna work it, just let me know.
Yeah, there's just a lot of people complaining, well, it's Friday now, no blades going, the sun is shining, and
Right.
nobody's doing anything, and people are bitching about the roads like crazy, so, I mean, we gotta do
Right,
something.
but then you gotta remember that, these guys go out there and do that, and then they get just attacked in the bars, and they get attacked on Facebook and stuff like that, you think they enjoy that?
Well, I'm sure not, but we're getting
We're
attacked,
getting-
we're getting attacked too.
You're not,
You think we
yeah,
enjoy it? No.
No, but you guys are elected, these guys are just, I mean, they can walk at any time, or they can get fired at any time, just remember that.
I think the big thing about it is, I think 4/10s are fine, but I think you need to split the crew, so we're running Tuesday through Friday and Monday through Thursday. I think you gotta do that. You gotta have people out there 5 days a week.
Right.
I think
That's what I
you
There gotta
gotta,
be some.
Yeah.
you're gonna have to split the crew up, like you run 2 out of each shop or whatever you got, run them in halves, run one guy Tuesday through, that way you got coverage 3 days a week with everybody in. I get the 410s because you got dentist appointments, things like that, it's nice to have that day to do things and, you know, so. If you're gonna do that, then that way that open day, that open weekday is an overtime possibility for those guys too. If they normally have a Monday off and it's a nice Monday, you come in, you can rotate your schedule a little bit or take a okay, I'll come in Monday, but I'll take Friday off this week and that can get managed, but it's gotta manage, the schedule has to, you know, be dictated around the conditions a little bit too with that. I mean, that's where, like, everybody being gone one day, it isn't, that's not practical, it's just not.
And when you get a nice Friday like that, poor
Right.
people
Yeah, people just
Oh, right, and that's what I'm saying, like, you at least at minimum, if you're gonna scale down the overtime, you gotta split the crew up a little bit, so at least the Mondays and Fridays are at least kind of a half crew, so somebody's out there working, taking advantage of those
yeah,
conditions and
if
that.
somebody's willing to take off on a rainy day to work a sunny day, you give them an option.
Why don't we just close the road department down on rainy days then? Like we do the courthouse when it snows. Can't travel, they close the courthouse, they get paid to stay home.
That is what we're saying.
No,
Well, I mean, you guys are splitting hairs now here again, like, I mean, I'm fighting for all my guys out there, it's not just me.
well, we're not cutting it.
We're not here
So-
to fight.
Well,
Right, fight
just
is the
trying
wrong
to get
discussion,
extra-
the wrong word.
workers on Friday, a day where everybody's off. Half work this Friday, half work the next Friday, rotate them or
And
something.
don't give them the option, they're gonna work.
That's
I mean, I've worked
that's a
in places
slippery
too.
slope when you just start demanding stuff out there, it's not,
Yeah, but it's a slippery slope when people are bitching.
right, I get it, guys,
Who's
but,
paying their wages? The people are.
right, I get it, I'm just playing devil's advocate here. The workforce is not the exact same as it was even 15 years ago. You start demanding stuff from these guys, they're just gonna walk and go somewhere else. Then what did you gain from it? I'm willing to run that by them, we can work it, and if we lose people, then just remember that. Like, if we wanna go to a rotating schedule, we'll go to a rotating schedule. If that's what the board wants to do, we will do that.
Well, like I said, I think the management, I think it's practical to run 410s, but I think, like I said, you can't have like 4 guys in the Strasburg shop not there on a Friday, or like, if you got 2 guys in Hazelton, you wanna split it up so at least one guy can get some stuff done. I mean, people got kids, they got appointments, but the 410s is very nice for people to work, I get it. But you still gotta have coverage in those departments, that's where that's gotta happen. You know, and if guys wanna work overtime, then you have that 5th day, guys are there, you're already managing the office, the doors are open. Somebody that normally doesn't work a Friday wants to come in on a Friday because the weather abides, then you have that flexibility that gives you that rotating schedule. And then the weekends is, if you wanna run a skeleton crew, if it works out with the weather, I mean, I get you not wanting to mandate it, but there's gotta be a little bit of an expectation of some overtime. I mean, we used to work 5/10s all summer, everybody hated that though, like, let's just be clear about that. I think every week was excessive too, because when it was dry, it's like, these guys could be cutting out on Fridays and working 410s.
Yep.
When you have a situation like this, where we don't know if we're gonna come out of it for a month, I think there needs to be an expectation where it's like, it rained Wednesday and Thursday, even if we have to pay some overtime, I mean, I know employees like to remind us about the budget, but the budget is our job. We'll worry about the budget, and if we blow the budget because we told you to run overtime a little bit, we'll deal with those ramifications. So, all I'm saying is, in my opinion, you should, you know, you should be splitting that crew up so we have guys in there 5 days a week, and you should be running some kind of a skeleton crew on Saturday, depending on a need or a schedule, and if you wanna run the whole crew, fine, and if guys have, you know, commitments, things like that they can't make, then it's just like anything else, but I think you're gonna have to run some overtime here. I think the expectation is you're probably gonna have to run 20 hours of overtime a month, that'd give you every other Saturday for a month at least, that's something, I mean,
Especially now when the weather, when the roads are soft.
right, a month from now, we could be begging for rain, it'd be a
month from
whole
now
other
would be
deal, and we
different,
could be running your different 410s and stuff, but like right now, if this is no different than a blizzard season,
You gotta step up.
yeah, we're in a struggle, like, we're gonna have to, and even if, you know, it's only your 3-4 guys that love their overtime, 3-4 guys working overtime and rotating that a little bit, maybe you start some kind of schedule where it's like, hey, you guys haven't been working any overtime, you have to squeeze a Saturday and help out, like,
So are we going to we're including Saturday in this rotating schedule, or we?
No, I would say the Saturday would be more of like the discretion,
Volunteer?
of like, I mean, the weather, and yes, and like, well, we're gonna run, if you wanna run, I mean, I don't know if we're that desperate that we kinda just run 7 days a week, but we gotta at least flip that 40 schedule, so we got guys running every day. And I think you should be running Saturdays if you can get anyone.
Especially now, if it's wet, the weather, it's not cold.
I mean,
right out.
some of them guys do wanna run on Saturday, I know it sounds stupid, but some of them guys, I mean, they take pride in their roads and they're like, man, I know I can run this weekend, and they'll do it. Like, I don't think, you're gonna get 7 guys out there every Saturday whistling while they work, no, I don't think you're gonna. You get 3 or 4 of them that, and especially with the expectation like these guys are saying, cut out on Wednesday a little bit if it's raining or doing something, or, you know, or just, you know what, you hit your 40 by Wednesday afternoon, it's been nice for a week, the weather's going good, tell them guys to get out of here, hey man, you got your 40 in, I think we're okay till the weekend, get out of here, you know, and send them out for a couple days. That's where the management of being the superintendent's gotta come in with that. I mean, I know you're sticking up for your guys, I got guys too, I stick up for them, I do, but there's also a time where you just, the job demands it, that's part of the deal. I mean, every job is gonna demand something at some point, and you know.
And it's not nice sometimes.
Yep, I mean, I'm like, I'm in agreeance with that 410 thing when everybody's gone the same day, to me, that's not gonna.
No.
It's fine if it's summertime and just everything is hunky-dory, but let's face it,
It's not.
there's culverts, there's other things, there's trees to cut down, there's always something to do, we should have guys in there 5 days a week.
So what's our minimum manpower you wanna see on a Friday?
Well, I would say that you just take the number of guys you got and split it in half. And then they can work it out, like when I worked at the mine, in our survey department, we had 5 employees. The one boss guy said he's working Monday through Thursday, and the 4 of us work it out, but he wants a guy there every day. And the 4 of us sat together, 2 of us took Monday through Friday, or Monday through Thursday, the other guys took Tuesday through Friday. As soon as somebody left or got promoted, and there was a Monday through Friday schedule, or Monday through Thursday, then it was like, who wants that? And we drew straws, we cast dice, whatever you wanna call it, and pick it and go, hey, some guys like Mondays off, not everybody's, you know, when you're younger, Fridays are cool, when you're older, Mondays are cool, man, so, you know.
These guys can fill in where the guy isn't there that day.
Yep.
Just because they're this doesn't mean that they can't do that.
Oh, right, but
Well, and I'm
I
telling
mean,
you,
it's not gonna be friendly for you,
Yep.
and it's not friendly for us talking to you on this here either, but it's gotta be done.
it's gonna be more friendly.
We got a short little window during the summer months to do what we gotta do on these roads, you know that,
Yep.
we know that, and we see it out there. These guys that are farming and the guy that's going to town to work, he sees that, because these roads are a mess. And I'm not just blaming you, that's the weather.
oh, you can't
But-
blame me, our infrastructure is, I mean, our farming practices and stuff has grown exponentially over the last
Yes,
20
we're aware
years.
of that.
Like, the infrastructure was never designed for this, the same thing that's in their field is what these roads are built on.
Yeah,
Right,
So, I mean,
but
you didn't see
we're not
anybody,
arguing that.
you didn't see anybody seeding, so I mean, I get it, everybody's frustrated, we're in a wet spell, everybody's up against the window, you pay taxes, with the way the economy's going, everybody's at their breaking point. But we're not, I mean, we'll go to a rotating schedule. So are we gonna do this year-round rotating schedule? Do you wanna do it for a month? Do you wanna do?
I think you should do it year round. I think it should be a Monday through, like, if I know I'm Tuesday through Friday, I can make appointments, I can do things, I can, instead of, because the one thing that is hard is, that, like you said, you wanna run overtime, you kinda don't, you got, well, when do you tell your kids you're gonna come to their grandkids' birthday parties? When you, like, there's gotta be consistency to the schedule, no argument there. I think you go and look at the guys and you say, there's 10 guys in this department, I want 5 guys here Monday through Thursday, and I want 5 guys here, you know, Monday through minimum. Obviously, you're gonna have the full crew Tuesday through Thursday. You let them pick however they want, and if you can't nail down them last couple schedules, then you make it happen. And, you know,
And
your
it reflects
senior,
onto you.
maybe your senior guys get your first choices. You take your older guys and you let them pick, and you let the younger guys get what's left over. I mean, that's just part of the deal. I mean, that's, and, I mean, the overtime thing, when it looks like we got a window to work some overtime and be productive with it, it's gotta happen, at least with a couple guys, you know, whatever. Maybe you pick the shift that got Friday off and go, you guys are coming in Saturday. Maybe that's how you do it, so you can at least accrue, call it crew 1 and crew 2, shift 1 and shift 2, whatever, and manage it that way. And you get a few volunteers going, well, I'd like to work Friday and Saturday. Hey man, if your roads need it and the weather's working, get in here. And then once you hit June, July, hopefully, things start shaping up, and then you pull the ponies back a little bit, and you start managing back to a 40-hour with necessary overtime, but like a time like this is no different than a blizzard, and if it was blizzarding on Thursday afternoon, it's gonna quit Thursday night, we'd be out Friday, Saturday, Sunday
Yeah.
probably, this is kinda that same situation, till we can just get through the crap, like,
Yeah.
it's just gotta happen, I
It
mean,
dries out once,
right.
it's different, yeah.
and we're hopefully talking about something different. The other thing too is if we're talking about declaring an emergency, especially for the roads on 17th, that's gonna free up some funds where we can run some overtime without killing the budget either, so we have options there, so.
These farmers are doing the same thing. They're running hard.
Yeah.
They wanna get these crops in. Do they like it? No, they burn out. They're probably putting in 15, 16 hours, sleeping in the pickups, but they're getting it done. Do they like it? No, they hate it. The hired men don't like it either, but they're pushing together and they're getting it done. And that's all I'm asking for.
Right, we can, I mean, this has never been discussed of a rotating schedule, so.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're in this window now. It hasn't gotten better. You know, you kinda tough it out in March and April, and now we're into May, and
We're in May.
it's gonna be tough for the rest of the month, I would say, because even if it starts drying up, there's water in the ditches, there's gonna be soft spots showing up.
Oh,
We're gonna have to be more aggressive till we can get to a better spot.
Okay, well, we will go to a rotating schedule then.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, you know, a lot of people complain down in Westville, like Cody Blades down there, right? And I know in South Dakota, they said he did such a good job. Now, here in North Dakota, he said he's not getting it done right. Are they blading different? Like I know you don't want no more windrows, but I mean, can't you have a windrow right away in the spring?
Yeah, those are allowed right away in the spring and everything like that. What we wanna get rid of is like June,
Okay.
but I mean,
Every condition's different, isn't it?
every person on that expects a different road, right? Like we pull some shoulders and do some stuff, you get text messages, that's not how you blade. You do it this way, that's not how you blade. We just kinda have to let us do our thing, and
Do you go out and check on these guys, how they're bleeding and help them?
when I've got time, but like
Well,
last
I-
week, between the rainstorms, I was trying to spread gravel on 13th, because
You were,
because the other guys were out trying to blade. It's me and one truck driver, so he was bringing me gravel, because that way we could get roads covered. So who do you think was spreading the gravel? It was me.
Well, you got, the other two guys, are they running it out there too, in the shop?
are they out in the trucks? Like
What other
looking
two
at the
guys?
knife?
We have one truck driver.
Oh, John and,
John is no longer, equipment operator. John is our office guy. We made that clear when we set the new pay scale. Like, we knew that John was not gonna come out of the shop, or out of that office. Like, we set that.
What?
You guys not remember having this conversation? I was like, John is not an operator, John is our office guy. So, office work doesn't stop because it rains either. Right, so, I mean,
Doesn't the superintendent run the office or no?
do I run the office? Not bidding out the fuel and not doing all that, doing our fighter and tornado and inventories and stuff like that. No, that's why we have an office guy now. We're trying to reinvent the wheel midway through, I think, guys. But no, it was one guy. We've been trying to do. What's that?
I say, I don't understand this, this is totally new to me.
Well, then
Yeah, you don't
obviously you
pull
haven't
that.
been paying attention in the meetings.
Alright, everybody hold on. So, I mean, when it comes to John's deal, I support that, and I have supported that from the beginning, because we weren't getting things bid out, we weren't getting stuff managed, there was no inventory process, there was none of that. He doesn't just sit in there and do nothing, he's doing all the business stuff so that Skylar's out there managing, and Skylar is out there jumping in equipment from time to time, that's what he's doing. So, I mean, that was no different, I mean, almost any other county that functions, you know, with a road department has secretaries, they have engineers, they have everybody. John is the shop manager, he manages the shops. Any part, inventory, anything that we're short of, that's the guy that's calling on prices, he's bidding fuel, he's doing all that stuff. That's a position that I think is sorely needed, and I supported that from the beginning. That was back when Leonard was here, and when Dave was here, and all of it, you know. If Skylar wants to pull them out on equipment, that's fine, but that position was created to manage the business, to do things like, budgets that never used to get done. Marlis used to do the road budget, Now John does it, and Skylar assists him with it. Skylar handles the things, and then John puts it together. The reason we had the application in for that grant to get basically a free bridge from the federal government by Larry Lyers is because John, with his position, put it together and did it, because we weren't doing that stuff. And the advent of that came from when we had frost boils back in 2018, and we went out and fixed a bunch, and we didn't do any diagramming or any calculating, and we missed out on hundreds of thousands of dollars from the federal government, which is part of the reason when Francis came in, we started doing all the things we were doing, and Francis created that position for John, which he kinda did for Nick in a way, but didn't do it the way we needed it done. There needs to be someone calculating the day-to-day stuff in that shop. There's too many shops, too many guys, and too much equipment to manage for the road superintendent, while he's also supposed to be out there managing guys and taking care of everything and driving the roads and specking for gravel and everything, so. That's what's going on with John's position, and I'll defend that because that's what's needed. Now, it's awesome that he's a CDL guy and he's a high-value guy, and when it's time for John to move on, can we replace it with someone maybe, you know, less pay and less skilled? Yeah, maybe, but John's the guy for the position right now. And I think he's doing a great job, and it's helped out a lot with tracking the day-to-day stuff in our shop.
Yeah,
So-
he hasn't run nothing for a long time out there, has he? Because that's what, when we created that job, that's the way it was supposed
When
to
we were 2 men down during the bad snowstorms, he'd come out and help for a couple weeks, and then just the office was its, that suffers. Whenever you pull someone from something else has to suffer.
Right.
Just plain fact.
That's been in the works for quite a while, so. I'll pay you a compliment, that 13th Avenue that you guys pulled up and did some gravel work and all that, everybody was pretty skeptical because it started raining literally while you were probably finishing it. And I drove on it yesterday, and it's draining and it's doing what it's supposed to, it's in nice shape. I mean, obviously it was a little slick, but I wasn't even sinking in hardly more than that much with my pickup, so. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that we're looking to see, just looking to see that and more of it, more.
Well, that's why I was wondering if they changed blading techniques like Cody out there, you know, they always said he did a good job, but now the roads are all, like Rick Seymour called me the other day, and Chad Vanderwerf, some of those guys, and they keep getting stuck, everybody's stuck in the middle of the road.
It's terrible down there.
And I don't know why, I don't know what it is.
Well, that's where we hauled 1,000 loads of gravel down there last year.
They're still getting stuck in the middle of
I
the road.
don't get it.
You left Campbell County on a negative note. Talked to Terry Madden.
Yeah, you only got one side of the story. Cause I heard Cody's side of the story, and I would have left too.
I don't know, I know when that deal happened, I know there was supposedly a petition going around with 100 people signing it wanting Cody back, so. I mean, that was, cause that did come up when Francis hired him, cause we heard that there was issues with Campbell County, and I had
But it's a
nothing
mess
but,
down south.
well, it's funny, because I had nothing
It's
but
a mess.
positive reviews from everybody when they found out we hired Cody, and then everybody in Campbell County supposedly wanted him back. And we finally got the South Dakota guy, now we'll get our roads bladed like them, and now apparently that's not good enough either, so I'm confused by it as well, because
I'm confused too.
we spent over $500,000 hauling gravel down there, because when you count the trucking, the cost of the gravel, and our own inputs on it, we spent well over $500,000 in that area. And we hired the South Dakota guy that was supposedly so great, and now everything is worse. I don't know how that happens.
That's why I don't know, did they change it to techniques the way they blade, or do you just let him go blade the way he wants to blade, or should blade, or, I don't know.
He's a skilled operator, like I told people, I don't ride in the seat with them, and do I always go and check on them the way they're blading? No. I mean, obviously, if we're now getting concerns from them, then we'll have to readdress that situation. So, I mean, I don't follow any of the seasoned blade operators, because they've been doing it long enough, they get it,
Yeah.
right? The new guys, yeah, we've gotta work with them a little bit. Some of them are catching on pretty quick, some of them are a little slow, but they didn't have a lot of time last fall, and this spring is this spring, so.
Well, it's like that down the Hague area down there, you know, they're complaining there too, well, they're just pushing the gravel from one side to the other, I don't know who's blading down there, but that's why a lot of them, like David, come back, if he'll come back and wanted to work, I would say hire him, do it, get him on, do whatever, that's my opinion, but. I mean, I don't really care if people have personal vendettas against somebody, well, it doesn't matter. What really matters is, are we doing the taxpayers a favor by getting the roads the way they should be?
I know, but it's tough too, because I always hear the accusation that all we do is swoosh gravel from one side to the other. And then you got guys in some areas pulling shoulders and trying to do some work, and then I hear complaints about how there's grass on the road, and I mean, it's hard because I understand the complaining, and I'm not trying to degrade it, there's bad roads out there. I think there's a lot of people that just, they don't understand some of this road maintenance stuff, and I'm not perfect about it either, but I know one thing. When you're siding a house, and you show up in the middle of the house getting sided, it looks horrible. And you're like, what did you do to my house? And then when you're done, I mean, I've been a ton of remodel jobs, you look at a gardener there who's been a part of, we tore apart people's entire houses, and it looks, you look at it like, how are you gonna put this back together? And then when you're done, you're like, wow, this looks great. Like, remember David, when he pulled all them shoulders down along that, and everybody was ready to hang us from the tallest tree, and by the end of the summer, they were great. And so, I think you have to take public input 100%, but there's conflicting stories from the same area. One guy's saying we don't do anything, the other guy's saying the guy's ripping the road up, and what are you supposed to do? Like, there is a point where even like with these guys, like Gar Schmidt, like Gar Schmidt's been blading roads since any of us were commissioners. When people call and they're like, he's destroying the road, I feel like it's a foolish comment. The man is not destroying the road. I don't know if there's frustration built into that phone call. Obviously there is. There's a million other things going on, and then they drive a chunk of rough road for a bit. I think there's some unreasonable expectations on some of this stuff. Now, I'm not discrediting all of it. If you take the analogy into the place that we have 1,200 miles of road, at any given time, 20% of the road system is probably in dire need of work. That's over 200 miles of road. Because 20% is, that's 240 miles. Every guy responsible in that department with the staff we have is responsible for about 100 miles of gravel road. And I think there's an expectation that every one of it's gonna be perfectly gravelled from the stop sign to the highway. And I don't think it's fair. And we just went over a gravel route thing. We can't spend $600,000 graveling 38 miles of gravel. I mean, we can, and we probably will have to. But this expectation that it's gonna be perfectly manicured from one end to the other is a lot. And I think what we have is we have a scenario where I think they're probably asking a lot. We're not maybe demanding quite enough of ourselves, and somewhere in the middle is where this road system's gonna have to be. It just can't be. It just, I mean, there's a lot of pressure on these guys too, and that's why I respect the fact you're sticking up for your guys. But I'm not in disagreement with these guys that we're gonna have to push a little harder to get where we are trying to go. And it's not so much about even giving the final product that everybody wants, but that we're at least doing everything we can to get there. And if everything we can do to get there means switching up a comfortable schedule and working some extra overtime, some of these guys are gonna have to adapt. That's just, I mean, I don't expect 70 hours a week for the whole summer. But if I see a few 70s on some timesheets and I know they're out there working, I'm not gonna be that opposed to it. I mean, if guys wanna work at least 40 to 50, no problem. And some guys are out there, they wanna hit it hard, and maybe they do, and maybe that's all you do for just 2 weeks, and just get on top of it a little, you know. We're gonna have to push harder for a bit here. So we're just gonna have
Are they
to.
pulling up roads, kind of pulling stuff up a little bit, or not really, or?
That's tough, like now.
Some are.
How do you do it?
Some are,
Yeah.
but we have to do it. I mean, they were starting it, but you don't do it when it's raining, no.
Well, and I can tell you, some of them are getting chewed out for doing it, and they don't do it anymore. They were doing it and they weren't, because I know up around Hazelton, I got griped at by a few people at the gas station that there's big chunks on the road. Well, you have to pull the shoulders and you gotta do it in spring. There's no other time to do it. It sucks, nobody wants to do it. You don't do it every spring, but you know, every couple of years, you're gonna have to give it a rip.
Our roads are getting so wide. Some of these federal aid roads, I mean, they were a nice road. Now they're just mushroomed and wide, and there's nothing left in the ditches.
Well, that brings us to another conversation then, because you said before, you wanna pull up that cattail road and narrow it up.
It's on our,
Right, I mean, but that's your goal, right? The end
on our hit
goal,
list.
if we can get it done, you not only wanna just maintain that road, but we're gonna pull it up and narrow it up. Try and get it so it's
Right
manageable.
back into spec.
Cause the biggest problem we have right now is it's so dang flat that you can't keep a crown on it. It holds water in the middle. I got a call yesterday that there was a car stuck in the middle of it. Well, I mean, I get that that's a dire situation, but at the same time, if everybody knows it's such a bad road, then we're like there's gotta be some give and take a little too, but everybody I talked to that we're gonna pull that road up and narrow it down, everybody's all about it if we can get it shaped right, so. I
Right,
would
but-
say I'm in total support of you doing that too, just so you know, so you got, I mean, I think the
Right, but
plan of
it's-
action on that Cattail Road, at least from the highway to that first intersection by the gravel pit, is that thing needs to get narrowed up.
How is that wide?
Well, it was meant to be paved, I think, and it just,
It was,
it's too expensive, it's always been too expensive,
but
so.
now you can't afford it.
It's just time to pull the plug on this, maybe gonna pave it, it's not gonna happen. Nobody's gonna pull the trigger and spend millions and millions of dollars to pave 2 or 3 miles. So we might as well just narrow it up. I mean, I don't know how narrow you wanna pull it, but it's.
Well, we're gonna have to put it in spec,
So you're talking, what, 24 feet wide or?
26, 28.
26?
So you'll what, you run scrapers to pull it out, will you not?
Depends on, like, our scrapers are in dire need too, of repair. Like, some of them got transmission problems, some of them got a motor issue.
So you can't use these 3 scrapers out?
Not really, I've been kinda watching the market and see if I could find one for, decent price, but,
I think you're better off getting rid of scrapers or getting one good one and hiring some of that work out would probably be the way, cause that's another specialty piece of equipment that it's highly expensive when you wanna buy one, that's the
Who's
truth.
gonna run them? Do we have people that can run scrapers and do a job on a scraper?
yeah, I've ran them.
That's one.
Well, depends on, if you only got one, I don't have a buddy seat in them. So it's just, I mean, it's, not to make light, I mean, just, you have one, you only need one guy that, I mean, you can train them on it. So, I mean, that's the struggle we run into out there too, of
Yeah.
where do you spend the money on that piece of equipment? I don't know, we're gonna have to fix the Woolbaum Road, we didn't design it for, I mean, there's still some work that needs to be done after they put that box culvert in. There's still a hill to cut down and stuff like that. If we ever do get to Dave Trudowski's road, we need to build it with a scraper.
Well, didn't Al run too, scraper too?
I have no idea.
I will tell you one thing on a
Yours big
scraper,
plus.
and no offense to anybody, but it's kind of a young man's game, cause they beat you.
They'll beat you up.
They beat you.
There's not a lot of old scraper operators out there, you're right, cause they.
They'll beat you.
Yep, you're right.
Right, I mean, and it's no offense to anybody,
Phone
so,
around and
Right.
stuff, yeah.
They're tough.
I mean, they're-
Nick and Russ ran them the last time.
sorry, what's
Nick
that?
and Russ ran them the last time they were used. I see you got them up by the lot.
No, I
Right,
think
we tried using it last year a little bit in the lot, and it was,
I think Francis used them too, didn't he?
yeah, they used them down in the knoll pit
Yeah,
for,
cause I thought.
Yeah,
Al
Nick
was-
came on board and then Russ was running it also. And he brought Nick on board. They used it out of there by Lawrence Engelman on that culvert and that road
Well,
going.
either way, we gotta do something with that road, cause the maintenance system we were doing is just not working, we all can agree on it, so we're just gonna have to be the ones. Make a decision to pave it or make a decision to narrow it up, I'd say we just narrow it up and be done with it.
So what are you doing then? Pull that gravel off that base?
yeah, you try to shift it, like I'd probably do it in a mile section, and we're gonna have to close the road down, so probably try to reclaim as much gravel and move it up to the first mile, and then pull it up, narrow it up, bring that stuff back down to the, and then stack your other gravel on there. I mean, the one thing is there's only one farmstead that really needs to use that road, the other ones can go around. Like,
You use 10.
Zato Farms can go around and use that, I mean,
They can go around?
well,
That's
yeah,
what it is. Okay.
yeah, I mean, it's just, they'd have to run up to 10th and then come down a mile,
Okay.
they'd backtrack a mile back.
Okay. Yeah, that's not.
So, I mean, that's the one advantage to that road, is there's only one, so, I mean,
Right, Vandervorst would be the one's biggest impact, but really they could go out the back way while you're building on one
Right.
side of their approach, and when you're done with that, then they can go out, so I mean, really, in that theory, you got a built-in detour to it already, so.
right, so it's in the works, it's just trying to find the right time, and I mean, obviously now's not the right time, so we kinda slotted it for midsummer sometime, but it's a revolving door, it changes daily.
Of course, you also have to do the water treatment plant road too.
Right, Dave
Yeah,
Jadowski's
yeah.
road,
And that's an ugly one.
and
Right,
87th that we added 2 months ago, we still gotta pull that one up and fix that for them that we said we were gonna do.
The other thing-
68th up there by Hazelton, those roads need a lot of attention.
The other thing I was gonna add, not to change the subject, but, I got a couple calls about people coming in their yards. Where we decide on going in people's yards, it's just,
No, we aren't.
in the summertime, just kind of blade them once or twice, or
We decided not to go in at all.
even if they pay, because the people say, well, I'll pay, but
There's contractors out there that do it, and that's what I would put them, that's what I would say, because
We said, well,
here's what you do, you blade them once they pay for it, right? So then now we've yet to make a decision on what, if we're gonna do anything for the Colundas up there, right? So now you'll do it for them if we pay, so we'll pay you just to blade the gravel out. So, I mean, it's a very slippery slope, and the best thing to say is stay out of them.
because I didn't remember what we agreed, if we agreed that we said we're gonna go in once a year, if somebody calls and asks us to do that, or what.
I think we agreed not to, right?
Yeah, we,
I think it's always been a kind of a discussion, I don't know if it's ever been voted on.
Is there ever a motion on it or no?
Well, I can tell you one thing, I mean, there's documentation on it from the nineties and early 2000s, I think back when we had, I mean, tons of names on, there was even something pinned on the county shop wall from like 2005 where we were no longer gonna be doing any private driveways. There's been motions, there's been resolutions, there's been all kinds of stuff, and the board changes and
What's that?
Didn't you bring a policy forward that had something like that?
Yeah, you brought it.
Yeah, I believe so.
And that was
But,
passed.
but
That
I'm
was
just,
passed,
I'm
so
just
that's-
telling you too,
that's-
like that sentiment that this is all of a sudden changed, it's been discussed, it's been voted on, it's been signed dozens of times over the years. It happens in windows where like, you're stiff on it and then the board changes or the employment level changes, or you do it here, you do it, next thing you know, it's out of control, and the board pulls back again. And then it's tough again for a while, now we're tough again for a little bit, and then it'll change, and a couple guys will, quit or get reelected, and then all of a sudden you're doing it again, and cause I know for a fact, cause I think even my dad was a part of some stuff, and they were going off of stuff back when, you name the old commissioners from the nineties and two, they were all a part of it. I think Kenny McCauley's signatures on one or two of them things about, we're not doing them no more, cause you run in the same boat.
I know the last time I was on, we were going into yards, then all of a sudden it quit, then we didn't go in yards.
So I know we talked about it before, and some people said, well, if we pay, and then I thought we decided, well, if they get caught up and they got time, if they can go in there, blade it once a year and they pay, that's what I thought with the last, but I
Well,
didn't.
the biggest problems with it that I see is one, it's not really like a financial problem that we can't do it, it's a time thing. Like, obviously it's financial in the sense that we could have 20 blade operators, yeah, we could just blow it out of proportion, so it is money, but it's not. We have an adequate amount of blades for our county. The one big issue that we don't realize that a lot of other counties do have help with, they have individual townships where they hire other contractors or have their own blades too. We're running this entire county on 8 blades, and that's if everybody's there, not sick or hurt or anything else, so it's not really a money issue with like, well, we'll blade them if we get paid, well, it still puts us behind on our priorities. The second thing is the term get caught up, I don't know whoever came up with that, cause we haven't been caught up since I've been county commissioner, like, I got a culvert that's got a hole in it right by my house that happened on Sunday. Right about the time you think you're caught up, there's half a dozen culverts that are in dire need, and probably 10 dozen culverts that should get replaced when we have time. We never have time, it's not gonna happen, so the analogy that we can do any private work when we have time, it's a nice comment, but it doesn't exist, there's no way, there's just no, and that's the reason why we have to be tough on it. We're never gonna get our priorities even within the realm of sort of caught up if we're always diverting and doing this extra stuff.
It's no different than this culvert voting. Some guys are upset about it. That's the way it is. It's time being taken away from where they could be doing something else. That's just the policy. You gotta get used to this. If you go anywhere else and you have something loaded, a load of gravel, you're gonna pay for it.
Yeah.
The loading.
Well, some people are upset about what.
Yeah, just that they load a culvert and they charge them with so much.
We wanna
for a culvert.
pull in with a trailer at the
You
county
just
shop
stop
and get
everything.
loaded with a culvert and all that, and it's like, there's nobody there, we don't want people at the shop, we want them out working,
Out
there should be
working.
one, maybe 2 guys, and that's cause one guy's filling fuel or something, and then we got our shop for him, that's it, and there's not gonna be 5 guys sitting around there, and if they are around there, there's probably a reason, and it probably isn't to load your culverts, it's probably cause it's raining or something.
Going into these private roads,
Yeah,
8 out of 10 of them won't get billed. I'll run in and blade it.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna ever know I was in there. You don't say nothing, I won't say anything. Just the way it is. I just say, you don't do it. If you need it done, you call these guys that got blades. They'll run out and blade it for you and they'll bill them. They're gonna bill them, they're not gonna forget it.
No, not the private guys, you're right.
Right, they won't
For a
forget
business, they're gonna bill it out,
Yeah.
right? That's exactly.
Well, I know years ago they always did it though, you know what I mean? They always went in private roads and bladed.
Yeah,
and
we
all.
did.
And that's why we're in this mess today.
That's why
that
it's a
we're in.
mess.
Yeah,
It's no consistency.
yeah. But now I just didn't know where we were at, I didn't remember where we were at anymore, are we gonna go in and charge them once?
No, no.
We don't have the time.
It was, he brought up what he wanted done,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and he presented it to us, and it was put forth a done deal.
Okay, all right, I'll just tell them that we're not doing it.
And I think even part of that discussion was if there was gonna be anything done privately, that was like an emergency basis with you and like the sheriff,
With the
like we
sheriff.
gotta get an ambulance or Kim or somebody in there. It's a gas leak, okay, you're hammering in there, you get it done, but not just, oh, well, we've been doing it we'll do it, no, that's not.
No.
It's not part of the policy, so that discretion is up to, I think, the sheriff and the road superintendent, that's gotta be based on the emergency, so.
We're all good on that, right?
On the private drives?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Problem
Didn't,
solved.
didn't really change my stance on it, so.
Well, I just didn't remember where we were at on that deal.
Got a call this morning on 75th Street off of 83 by the schoolhouse.
Yeah,
Take a look at that if you can for gravel one,
going by the cell tower there and all
Yeah.
that.
right?
Then the same with, I mean, you know about 67th and 68th and
Yeah.
probably even 69th up there on the east side by Hazelton is.
And
Oh,
So,
man.
I mean, you know about it, but we've been asked to bring it forward, we're bringing it forward, there's a list, I mean, I'll just say one thing to it, it happens with my business all the time and it's hard, it's like, people call and they want things done, and you do your best you can to respond, but we also have to be careful of not being like, you need to react to this, this, and this, cause he's still trying to get to the stuff we told him 2 months ago, you need to get to the, like, there has to be a fine line of like, we'll bring it forward, we'll talk about it, but even the theory of like, well, you're a commissioner, you can make them do that, well, I want you still doing the stuff we made you do, last fall even, just like, so, I mean,
And that,
I mean, you need to know about it, obviously you do know about it, but like, that area there, that southeast of Hazelton it's getting pretty rugged on the rains, I mean, we all know it is, but that area has been bad for.
right, and that is another area that was slotted for like some reconstruction of the roads to like bring it up and reshape them, because the roads are lower than the ditches. Over the years, there's probably a lot of gravel sitting in there. Those roads were ones that got, I mean, we spent almost a week trying to open them up not last winter, but the prior winter. So, yeah, I'm sure that more gravel got pushed off of them, and it's just,
The road from Grunfeld or John south, they said it's terrible. But they're so wide too, didn't they get widened out with that wind farm deal? What street is that? South of John's farm.
22nd.
What street is that?
Cause it's almost right on the county line, right, so it'd be
It goes down
like
to that
23rd, 20, yeah.
21st, I think, isn't it?
21st could be.
By the substation, I believe, is on 21st, is it not?
I don't know what street it's on, is that on 21st?
Yeah, and
The
then,
south would be south of
19th
Grunfeld.
is the one that tees with Tenvick, so it'd have to be like 21st
It's
to
flat, you
22nd.
come down, it's flat.
Yeah,
He said it's terrible. I didn't drive it.
it's just, I mean, yeah, I'm sure maybe the wind farms pushed it out, but let's not get ourselves, and I'm not blaming them, I get it, but the farmers do a very good job of pushing those roads out themselves.
Oh, yeah.
You know, just the other day on 13th, I had a windrow in the middle of the road, I was moving it over, and here comes a loaded semi, and guess where he hugged? The edge of the road, and left big ruts, because he couldn't wait a couple minutes for me just to move it over so he could go in
Just
the middle.
plow or run
And he
it.
just, you could see it in his truck, it started smoking
Yep.
and lugging, and then I got there, I'm like, that's almost a 6, 7, 8 inch rut now.
Yeah.
And it's
And
gonna
guess
wash.
where, it goes down and out.
Yep. Pushes like a rivet.
and 89th, which is, that's that federal road from 1804 to Strasburg, right, that's 89th?
Yep.
I mean, that one had to been truck traffic too, no, not, because I know I got some calls on it, people said it's so bad, they can't even drive a 4-wheel drive pickup, I'm like, well, how can it be that, like, I was just on that road with my 2-wheel drive van, I passed Ellingson while he was blading it, and it was in really nice shape, and I know it's rained since that point, that was about a week ago, but
It's a
I find
wreck.
it hard to believe that it got destroyed, like, just by single wheel traffic, like, that's where I'm, like,
No, it's not.
No, there's truck in there, we had some guys moving heavy equipment out there when they was,
Moving cats and moving excavators.
yeah, I mean,
And it was
It's
raining.
the nature of the beast, I get it on their end, they gotta get stuff done too, but then they destroy the road when they're doing that, and then they come back and then like, you need to fix it.
You know,
That goes to be so wide too, though.
Right, and that's another one.
Well,
that
the trouble is too, though, is the equipment's getting wider, not everybody hates a wide road, like, I mean, we talk about narrowing them up, and I get calls going, why do you wanna narrow the roads up? Well, I mean, maintenance wise, you need to do it, but they love it, that they're, I mean, everything's wider, everything's bigger, you can't get around combines on some of these minor roads though, because they are so narrow, so everybody likes the federal aid road being wide, but then like you said, you can't maintain it, it's a battle.
Yeah, I mean, I
I mean,
think,
we get yelled at all the time, we gotta have somebody to yell at, Skylar, so that's why.
right, and I get it, I mean, I get it, guys, like,
Well, it's just, I don't understand why they're all so bad.
Well,
Everybody's complaining.
like I said,
4.5 inches of rain in the last.
4.5 inches of soft rain.
Yeah, if it would've been a
You can't get in the field
thunderstorm,
and farm. You aren't gonna get on them roads with a semi, you aren't going in that field with a semi or a tractor and a big
Yeah,
60
but why do
foot
they get so
grill.
greasy on the top, even if for cars and stuff? Why do they get so smeary right away?
It's gotta be the clay compound of the gravel.
well, the other thing
A
too,
lot.
you gotta remember, what makes road gravel is the fact that it has binder, guys. I mean, like, it's not rock and sand, it's got clay in it, and that's why it's glorious when it's dry, but when it's wet, it makes clay.
It's ugly.
I'll tell you one thing, you can't judge every road while it's raining, you gotta give it a day. If you give most of these roads 24 hours, you can drive on most of them. Now, there are some bad ones, there's some ones that are muddy for 3 days, those are the ones that, yes, you can judge them, but my road going out here goes through the hills and all that stuff, it got gravel on the hilltops 2 years ago, cause I got accused of being the king of the county and get gravel on my road, and when you're getting 40 hundreds,
They're ugly.
I go in and pick my daughter up from daycare, cause I don't want my wife to drive on it. Not that she wouldn't make it, but I just go, hey, I know it's rugged. That evening, well, the evening's the worst, cause it sits there and marinates, come noon the next day, it's tacky already, and a day later, like this weekend, after it quit raining on Thursday, by Sunday there was dust on my road. In my mind, that's a good road. Could it be better? Obviously, but there's a lot worse roads too, so when people are like, oh, this road's terrible, I'm like, well, it's terrible while it's raining, no doubt, but when it dries off 18 hours to 30 hours later, that's a pretty tolerable road, and I think there's even the conversation of needing 4-wheel drive. It sounds like an outlandish request, but when you live in the country, driving a 2-wheel drive car is,
Not sweet.
it's not practical in a lot of ways, I'm sorry, just like in the winter, it's not, it's just, and I know people are gonna get mad, and there's probably gonna be letters to the editor in the paper, and that's fine, you want me to resign, just give it time, but
That's the nature of the beast.
driving a 4-wheel drive vehicle in the country is a practical thought process, so. Anyway, we could talk about roads all day, but.
no, yeah, I mean,
It's a tough.
I mean, we got our priorities laid out, though our main priority right now, we really need to get something going the 17th, so you know that.
We're 17, which was.
That's the one we were talking about up at Bradford, yeah. And, so that's a big priority to at least get some kind of plan of action on that.
Yeah, and make the blade seen, because people, Friday afternoons, and that blade sitting in their shops, people are calling, why are those blades sitting there? It's a perfect day to blade.
yeah, we'll go to a rotating schedule. But now we gotta discuss on how much money do you wanna allocate towards gravel, and I know it's a bad time to bring it up, but I don't think we can swallow a $500 and some thousand gravel bill this year.
Well, I mean, that's probably something, again, to add to the agenda item in 2 weeks, I think now that you gave us a map and we can kind of digest it a little, you can look at the budget, we have some different funding mechanisms we can try and dig into and see what we can tolerate, cause, I mean, obviously we've paid for the gravel, so including the gravel in that cost scenario, you're talking $750,000 to probably $1 million in gravel, cause if that's just the trucking estimate, I think what you have to do is you have to scale down the trucking like what we talked about though, and then get it into just a different number, maybe that's 300,000.
So was that a trucking firm that would do it, or?
That's just an estimate off of what past counties have had to pay for it, I mean, we didn't put it out for bids.
So you didn't put nothing out on bid?
No, cause we haven't,
Yeah.
you can't put out a bid and then say, well, nope, so we're gonna renege it. so.
Basically what you did is you took an estimate, whether it's based on mileage, hours, total amount of gravel, and kind of figured what you paid in the past, either per hour, per mile, per load, and then you figured out, well, that many loads, that many hours, this many miles, that's how much it'll cost. That's kinda how you came up with your estimate?
Right, and we bumped up the gravel thickness too, we bumped it up to, we're now gonna spread 3 inches on there, which is still on the bare minimum on the bottom of the, but by the time you pull up some of the stuff, I mean, we wanna reshape some of these roads and get it from the edge before they get there.
Cause you put, how much did you put on that road at Cattail from the gravel pit into like the bridge or whatever when you did that here like a month ago?
Oh, that was only, what do we have that day, 30 loads?
So you probably put an inch or two,
Yeah, if even,
but.
if even.
I know, cause I got calls that said that, you know, everybody was so happy with it, now they're calling and saying they want more gravel already, and it's like, well, I mean, you got an inch or two, I mean, as I hate to say it, but you probably all you're gonna get for a bit, I mean, until you do something else in the area, but.
Right,
So these other roads that you had mapped out there where you put gravel on, are you gonna try to pull them up first and then gravel?
the ones on these maps?
Yeah.
Yeah, but everything takes time.
How are you
and
gonna
man-
get that all done? 33 miles pulled up before you gravel them?
What else do we do? Gravel them without pulling them up? I mean, that's what we're up against, guys. Like, everything we do wherever we move our workforce, something else has to suffer.
And you think 30 miles, what's 30 miles in 1,200 mile county?
That's a lot to pull them shoulders.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, what's 30 miles for $500,000 for only graveling 30 miles?
It's like 32 point, I had,
You got it here, I see, yeah.
31.59 miles.
That's insane.
Right, and so when people, I mean, I don't think a lot of people fathom that this
No.
is, and why we don't get gravel on our roads. You dump at 500 yards a mile and
Yeah.
your road's supposed to be 20, you slot it for 24 feet, and it's 26 feet, now you went from a half inch down to a quarter inch,
Yeah.
right?
Like
So
I said,
that's,
there's 1,200 miles in the county, and you're only doing 30 miles, and it's $500,000, it's like this.
And that's to hire it out,
That's
like, I mean, you're, like you said, like, it's not like that's us doing our own, and if we hired it out, we could get 100 miles done, that, we might get 20 miles of our own done with 2 trucks, so you're talking 50 miles a year, let's just, that's a best case scenario,
That's
50
the
miles
best.
a year. So it's gonna take you
Do your math and talk about
20 years to gravel the county, well, by the time you get done with one end, you doing
And
the
start all
well,
over again.
and that's the hard part too, is like I said, I mean, even like with the Westfield area and the Hague area, I mean, when Francis was here that first summer, he spent most of that summer down there, we rebuilt all them, right around Rice Lake, remember, we raised Rice Lake Road, we did all this stuff.
Yeah.
And sometimes the comments are like, we don't get nothing down here, and it's like, I mean, it probably feels that way, but when you really look at the scheduling, we've spent a ton of time around that Rice Lake area, and
the Westfield
You
Road
know-
South, they built that up, and they hauled in gravel, must have
Right.
been that much gravel.
and I'm not trying to
And
pick
that's
on it, I just say
a bloody mess.
sometimes, you know, you hear the comments and it's a little unfair too, cause it's like, we've been putting a lot of emphasis in that area, and there's, you know, and the Tenwick Road doesn't get any attention, well, already about 10 years ago, that got pulled up and federally bladed, or whatever you call it, with the surge funding, like, there's, you know what's not getting attention, is these 14th Avenue out there in the middle of nowhere, because that didn't qualify for funding, so that one, so those are the roads that are really getting beat up on, these federal aid roads and these other ones have gotten a lot of attention, and if they get beat up like that, they're just,
Yeah, it just gets frustrating, you don't know what to tell people, people
Well-
screams a little bit, people are calling like crazy, and they're mad, you know, what are you supposed to tell them?
we can always do better, I'm not
You're
gonna
not in
sit,
the field
I'm
farming.
not gonna sit here and.
I tell guys, how's it going in the field? What do you mean? Are you in the field seeding? No. I said, you can't get on these roads. We had 4.5 inches of slow rain.
Yeah.
It's different than if you pour the pitcher and dump it all at once, than if
Yeah.
you slowly
I'd rather
sprinkle
take a
it.
hard rain than this.
Hard rain's a lot better than that
It's
slow
the
rain.
greatest rain we've ever gotten for everything but the roads. It's literally the worst rain you could get for the roads. It
Then
is.
the hard rain washes the culverts all
Yeah.
up. So you know, it's a, yeah.
It's bad. I think we just, I think we only need to acknowledge that we can't fix everything. We can always do better. I'm not saying that we're doing everything we can all the time, every day, but I think we also just need to pause sometimes too. A lot of it is just seasonal, like, there's a lot of stuff going on, people are upset, and in 2 to 3 weeks, if these roads can heal up, a lot of people are gonna go back to normal. It's really tough right now.
It's
It's tough for
tough.
everybody, man.
Well, that's why I say just get them out there now and.
I catch it in my own household when it's raining here, but man, this road's terrible. I'm like, you know what I go through, now I got you, like, it
You
happens
get
everywhere,
guys,
like,
I
it
would
does,
call
it just.
complaining, what are you guys doing? Well, it's too wet to be in the field. Well, what else are you guys doing? You're working cattle? No, we're trying to haul cattle out to the pastures. Well, they're on these roads and they said, we can't get the cattle out.
Yeah.
These roads are so terrible. I said, yeah, they're gonna tear apart. You're loaded with a semi and a little cattle trailer, and it's cutting these, you're ruining these roads, guy.
Yeah, and like I said, one guy over there, he hooked this tractor on the semi and.
Pull them
all
out.
the way down the road.
All the way down the road.
They don't care. I mean, they care, but they don't care. And
Well-
they'll say, I said, they're gravel roads, it's not a highway. We know that, you know that, we all know that.
Yeah. Well, it's been a stressful time for everybody. We're not gonna solve everything with this
No.
cycle, but I think we've come up with enough good ideas to move forward.
So what do we wanna do with the gravel, you wanna get,
We gotta, yeah, just gotta,
I'd say let's just put a pin in until 21st, that's 2 weeks. And let's
Okay,
try and
so-
make a decision there for 2 weeks, like if we're gonna shrink it down, if we're gonna manage it on a number, we're gonna do, cause I mean, we'll have to look into where we can, cause we've already made commitments with the courthouse on certain things too, like we can't just be
right,
pulling
I
every
mean,
grade.
that's,
So I
I
think what
get
you
it.
did was enough, that's exactly what you needed to do. I think digest it for 2 weeks, we got a special meeting coming up, and we'll discuss it some more there. And I mean, it's the kind of decision that needs to merit a lot of discussion, because is that even the area we necessarily wanna do too, or, you know, I mean, like, I'm just saying, you brought that idea forward, is that just what's the only option, is that right? You did exactly what we asked you to do, and I think we'll put it on the agenda with the other stuff for 2 weeks, and we'll make a decision or something, or at least proceed forward from there.
it's kinda like you indicated. You've got a budget to work with. We've got a budget to work with.
right, and
So we
that's-
just can't pull a pin on a $500,000
Sure.
job.
I get it,
Right.
that's why we, and I mean.
Well, he's just wondering if we wanna put it out for bids right now, I think we gotta just.
No, I mean, I was just wondering if we're gonna, cause I kinda figured you couldn't probably swallow that big of a,
I'm not in disagreement that we're gonna do something, I think
Right.
hiring the trucks is a smart thing, we've already agreed, we're not gonna get it done ourselves, but
right?
we'll just have to make sure that that's what we wanna do.
We can tweak this now to what fits our agenda, or fits the budget, whatever you wanna do, so that's
So I'd
just
say for now, we're just
gives you
gonna chew
some.
on it for 2 weeks, and we'll plan on trying to make a decision on the 21st.
So what were you saying, you put 3 inches, you wanna put 3 inches, what did you put down on Westfield and Alvin Roads?
That was just 500 yards a mile, so I'm gonna have to figure it out.
Probably an inch and a half.
Inch and a half maybe. And I think that's somewhat partially what's happening too, is you don't get enough on there, you just kinda squish down, and then that gravel gets diluted with other stuff, and now you don't really have gravel, you've got a bunch of stuff on your road. Which
You
is
know what-
alright when it's dry and hard, and when it rains, then it's all mixed together, so.
You can take it in a yard, you can haul this much gravel in. And if you get rain, you're gonna bury that deep.
Yeah.
I don't care, it's new gravel being brought in.
Yeah, it doesn't-
It's not your friend, it's ugly.
It's not time to settle or nothing.
Yeah,
And then when we gravel, if we gravel some stuff, it needs a good rain for it to kinda set up. It might be really sloppy and they're gonna be like, you put the wrong gravel on it, it just,
the greatest would be if we could get chipped rock like the railroad does and haul in about 6 inches of that chipped rock on our roads, it'd be totally different.
we've discussed that.
But it's so
We've-
cost prohibitive.
We've,
Gravel was expensive.
Yeah, I know, I'm just saying that scenario, but
I
there's
know,
no
we've
way you can
even-
firm these roads up.
we've even talked of doing some spots where it's like heavier clay areas, like perfect example, the one we've talked about doing it is the Federal Aid Road out of Hazelton, right? So that last year, it was muddy, we kinda gravelled some of it, kinda like the gravel got pushed in. It's missing something, so we figured, we kinda opened the discussion of maybe just bringing in some clean rock and pushing it in there and hopefully bridging that, and then when it gets wet, you get that traction out of it, so.
But round rock will now.
Oh, round rock
They'll
is
just
more.
push,
Which is,
chipped will wedge.
sometimes that's, the Vandervoorst gravel all around rock.
Yeah.
The only really two pits we have that have fractured face rock in it is the Knoll pit and the Woolbaum pit, and, well, they both have a higher clay content to
And then
them,
the
which
rubber.
they get hard when it's dry and a little slippery when
Yeah,
it's wet, so it's an ongoing discussion. We're not the only county right now having these discussions. I know that some other counties have been,
Right.
I know Burley's not extremely happy with the DOT spec, I know that was a conversation I've had, and I know there's other counties that are concerned too, that they think the spec has too much clay content in it. Nah, that's just opinion, I don't know, I'm just telling you, other counties are talking about it, we're not the only one that's like, oh, we got this heavy gravel, well, if we're all crushing based on the DOT spec, and that DOT spec is maybe heavier than we want, then that's part of a problem too, that we maybe need to work with an engineering firm on coming with our own spec, maybe something in the middle, you know, we just always default to the DOT spec, which is, I mean, you feel like, hey, they're working that out, they got it, they figured it out, why reinvent the wheel? Their spec is probably for something completely different, or, you know, you know, and we're spattering it on all the roads like we're graveling these roads, and then maybe it's got too much grit, you know, and that's not just our fault, that's the way it's been operating for 50 years, you know, so we're dealing with issues that are.
You been down to the Westfield Road going south of the Blacktop? When it first thawed, that was insane. The clay that was coming off of there on these vehicles and coming on the blacktop, it was nuts. It was like a tractor coming out of the field that was stuck.
And you're talking.
And coming onto the highway.
You're talking,
West of West.
Nine
One going
thousand?
south of me.
yeah, that.
When they built that up and
whatever.
re-gravelled it, they put a lot of gravel on it.
I know,
It's unreal.
That's why I say, why is that?
well, I'm just telling you, we literally.
It's the DOT, what he's just expressing, in my
I think
opinion.
there's
what
some
they're using too
concern
much
that the
clay.
spec we've been using for years, you know, and you're putting the same heavy gravel on the heavy gravel on the heavy gravel, and you need to probably look at, kinda like we've been talking about,
Like
well,
we
we'll blend
talked.
some of that Vandervorst gravel, and that works, but now you got 40-mile treks on empty trucks, I mean, you know, you gotta bite the bullet somewhere and just go, you know what, like, you gotta just haul gravel where it needs to go, and, you know, and some of that Wobom gravel, or, you know, Knoll pit gravel would be glorious out of cattail probably, cause it's set up and give you something.
We don't know that though.
Right, but I'm just telling you, like, that's the thinking of like, well, before, it's like, when you crush gravel here, yeah, it's heavy gravel, we put it on the roads closest to the pile. Well, they've been getting heavy gravel for 50 years, so then you go, well, it's always so muddy, why is it so bad? Well, it's gravel that's probably getting duplicated and getting heavier, and you know how specs are, there's no consistency, the one pile might be a little thicker, the one side is thicker than the other.
It's totally
thicker
different than Vandervorst.
Yeah, and it's the same deal, I mean, there's just lacks of
One's
consistency.
better than the other.
well,
That's-
You
Vandervorst
could
did,
maybe get railroad rock, you know, I mean, there are times it comes cheap out of Minneapolis.
Well, I thought the
railroad
county
runs right
sold a
by-
bunch off the railroad right away.
Well, that's
Yeah, I thought
The
we shared a
railroad
stockpile of it
Right
somewhere.
through, right through Woolbombs, it goes through Moffett, it goes through quite a few spots where you could get it.
We need to use eminent domain to get that
DPW would
property.
haul it, you know, I mean. they-
Well, I need that stuff packed.
Well, it's 'cause
The railroad used it for a
Because it's
reason.
got a ton of fractures,
Does it
that's
pass?
why.
well, it's fractured ballast rock, it's like probably inch and a half minus.
Right.
But
You
it's-
can get deals on it on occasion, but.
It's
That's the
spent.
thing.
I mean,
You have to be in
we've
contact
checked
with
into,
DPW and hope to God you would get it when they get it.
Yeah.
we've checked into just getting it out of Bismarck. That's the closest place we can get some of that fractured rock. So, I mean, that's still our goal, is to do some testing with it, and we're gonna do a little bit of test with it and see what happens. If nothing else, they can't say we haven't been trying something, so.
Might
Yeah,
pan out
it's-
pretty well.
Huh?
It might pan out really
It
well.
might
Yeah.
pan out very well, we might go too light and have to pump it up, or it might just plague
Rounds
us,
are not your friend.
for years. The world may never know.
Yeah. Well, for the sake of time, I think we're starting to just spin around in a circle here a little bit,
Yep.
so.
Okay, so we're on that with gravel.
Everybody's calmed down, got everything out, we're good to go, or?
So, in your other packet, this is not anything that'll hit this year's budget, this is, more engineering come back with, the city of Hazelton's doing a bunch of rework in the city of Linton, sorry, I said Hazelton, city of Linton. So the map shows you that what the county is responsible for, front page is roughly gonna be the county's portion of it. And this is all, I talked to
What's
more,
fog seal?
it's that black stuff that they put on the top, kinda hold the chips in a little bit.
Oh, okay. Ugly stuff with the rains, you can't see it. The glare, right? At night?
No, I don't think so, but maybe that's, they just fog it on top to help keep the chips in a little bit. So that's just, they just emailed it beginning of last month, like right after our meeting, last month's meeting, so. Bringing it forward, that'll be something we'll have to think about, and if we wanna participate, or think it's a good time to participate in it. If we do it, we'll just have to budget for it.
Where's Aspen Avenue?
That's the one.
Golf course? Huh?
It's out here by the ball.
Yeah, it's one that goes by Kenner's Vet Clinic or whatever,
Oh,
the cement plant, all that.
okay.
Yeah, by the ball diamond.
And 79th is where?
Here's the ball diamond.
79th is the
Okay.
pavement on the north side of town here, that
Got it.
Goes to Tower Hill.
goes by the first.
I see you're going up the hill part way.
Yeah, cause there is a little bit of asphalt there, so,
Oh, okay.
yeah, none of this is new, this is all existing, so.
Well, you never know coming down there.
Yeah, well, I think their map might be a little, they might not have exactly drawn that to the T where it goes.
Yeah, I don't think.
I don't think it goes that far out,
No.
so,
I don't think it makes it through Phillips.
yeah,
Yeah.
so, I mean, this is just it's not,
Okay,
Yeah.
not to scale.
not to scale, I
No,
suppose.
I don't think that goes far, maybe 50
So-
feet past that intersection.
Right.
My question, so on A and on C, is that our cost or is that the whole cost? Cause that's 50/50 with the city.
A, from the fuel tanks to the stop signs, would be 100% county. The only one is D, Aspen Avenue, 50/50.
50/50.
D,
That's Aspen, so that would be what it
well, my
would,
question, because, A, the city was taking over maintenance of that.
right, well, we never found an agreement.
Oh, we had an agreement. The mayor and, well, James, you were even on. You guys signed that agreement that we would take care of the north road and you guys were taking care of that road as maintenance, tarring and everything. We had that agreement signed by them and by us.
Yeah, that was. I'm pretty sure we got some of that, cause I think agreed, because we were 50/50 and on both, and it's like,
Yeah.
that kinda doesn't make sense, so. we
No,
took
I
the
said,
north
why
one
go
and did-
50/50? We'll take care of the
Yeah.
north road and they take care of that other road.
You'll take that, you're saying the county would take care of that little frontage road and we'd take care of the road out to 13?
You'd take care of the road to 13 and we were doing the north one from 83 to Broadway
Yeah,
on the north side.
cause I thought, because they were
about the
just going
same
back and
distance.
forth and splitting, it's like, why split it? Why not we take care of one, you guys take care of the other one?
Yeah, that, and
Eh.
I'm not 100% sure, but that does sound right, yeah.
Yeah, and the mayor signed off, and I know we signed off agreeing to it.
I remember that.
Was it ever put
That's when we had trouble with.
I'm pretty sure we did.
With trucks for that new development.
Exactly,
I looked
exactly.
at my files, I couldn't find an agreement, so I.
Well, I could've swore, cause I
I know
agree with
we
you,
signed
because
one,
we talked about that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
'cause you
wonder
brought
if the
that.
city's got anything in
City's
the
got
file.
the copy.
I mean, this is all like, the city's taking the lead, we didn't really, I know we had a brief meeting with them one day, and then Tyler and I have been talking, you know, head of the city, and that's what they come back with, so I didn't figure they found an agreement or
No,
whatever.
I agree
I mean,
with Gary, I mean,
you know.
cause the reason we had that discussion is we were like, nobody remembers these deals, and so then we were gonna put something down, so I don't.
The whole reason I come up
Something's
is because
there.
they came in with trucks that way and they started wrecking the road when they did that new development
Right,
thing.
and we were just putting, everybody's going, well, who's gonna take care of this? Who's gonna, we gotta split the car. I said, what? Somebody do this one, you guys do this one, and be done with it.
There's something in the minutes, or we'll have to look back into that, we did.
When would that been about?
Huh?
When would that been?
I don't know what it
Well, when did they do that development?
A few years ago, I wasn't on
Years
board.
on.
When that Eighth Street
Probably 2.5,
development thing,
3
whatever,
years or
whenever
2
they did
years.
that, they
I was
started,
on board.
Eighth Street's 2 years old.
Because wasn't there a few with
That's
Shabinsky?
gonna be 2 years.
that new
They were
development
doing
there.
that
putting
Eighth
the-
Wasn't there a few with
Oh,
Shabinsky, because he
thanks.
used that north road to haul?
Whenever they did that.
Well, when they were on the gravel, on that.
On that
there.
MDU deal, right?
Summer of 22.
Francis Crum was.
No,
that was
up on
probably
the
a
hill.
couple years ago.
That's when Francis was
They're
on?
coming into town.
I think
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well.
Greg Crum was on board.
Crum was.
Crum.
Okay, well,
was
'cause
on board, Crum was there.
Francis closed the road because they were breaking up the pavement
Yep.
on that corner, it was like 95 degrees that day, when they were skidding, they were breaking it, and he
Yeah.
closed it, and then everybody was mad, cause they said, that's the city
That's-
road, and
that's
that's
when the
when the
whole
whole
thing
And that's
conversation
when
of,
we came out, yeah.
well, you tar it, and we move the snow, and but who has the right to do this, and then Gary was the one that, I mean, and he was right, cause that north one connects to multiple county roads, where that one really didn't connect to anything county, it was just outside the city,
Yeah.
and so,
and it's almost the same distance, it's like, why not just,
And I thought you negotiated something with them, like, kinda, and then we voted on it.
We voted on it.
I swear we did,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll
and,
read the
and
minutes.
gotta be
that's,
something.
cause I remember having the sheet, I gave it to them, and they signed off, and,
Yeah,
If there was a motion, it's in the minutes.
It's in there.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to look back, so this will change, but, I mean,
Well, it'll probably keep about the same difference, though, because 50-50 on two of them or 100% on one, so.
well, that's why I prefer when I looked at this, like.
But yeah, either way, I mean.
well, really, we only have 50-50 on one of them.
Well, see, and that's not right there, that's part of that deal, because it was supposed to be 50-50 on both, that's why we came to that, we were agreeing on that, though, why have 50-50?
Good thing we
on both,
brought
so.
it back up.
Yeah, cause I seen that, I thought something ain't right here.
Yeah, we need to look into that. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll just look back into it, see if Morris can find some agreements or minutes, we'll talk with the city, I guess, see if we can find some agreements or something somewhere. Okay, so now we have a motor grader that is due up for a buyback in July. Kinda slipped through the systems, we had it marked as one date, the manufacturer had it marked as another one. Obviously, we have to go with what the manufacturer has as the delivery date, so it's actually due back in July. It's a John Deere, it's, got like 3,500 hours on it. There is a guaranteed buyback on it of $172,800. We do not have to take that buyback, we can just keep the blade, we can put it out for replacement bids. Obviously, that'll take a couple months, to replace it. Not sure if they'd let you keep it while your new one's coming. We can extend warranty on it, I don't think that's a very good option. So, just kinda wanna see where you guys wanna head with this one. It kinda slipped through the cracks somehow.
Well, we just bought two of them,
Correct, and it probably it really should have been brought up with,
yeah.
in that lot.
How did that get missed?
I don't know, we thought it was supposed to be bid in November, then it was found out that the warranty was running out in November, then the manufacturer's like, no, July it is, so.
That's good, you guys thought it was a 2019, it's a 2018, right? Is that kinda what happened?
Something like that, like this all happened prior to me being here, so the paperwork, not.
That was the first blade that I was a part of buying, because that was the one where it was like an extra 40 grand to get the electronic joysticks, and we didn't do it, and that's why it's got the antlers, right?
Antlers.
That's it, and it's always been the machine, somebody runs until a different machine comes up, and then that's why it's only got 3,500 hours, cause the antlers, not a lot of guys like them,
Well, we had two, there was 4 in the fleet, last summer we got rid of 2 of them, 2 antler racks. So this is the last antler rack out of the bunch.
But basically, you got a machine that's under warranty till July. It's got a guaranteed buyback. So, I mean, it's 2018 with 3,500 hours, someone's gonna run it without warranty, so it's not like it's the end of the world, but do we wanna keep it, keep running it, do we wanna take the guaranteed buyback and look at purchasing another one? That's where we're at, right? I mean, just.
Right, that's where it just.
It's not like it's some travesty horse, it's one of those things, we've been trading things out before they come out of warranty. We can extend the warranty, which is another thing too, if you wanna keep the machine and extend the warranty.
40,000 for 2 years.
For 2 years.
20,000 a year. Yeah, it used to be like 11,000 a year, remember that? That wasn't long ago now.
Right, and I'm not, if you,
That's full drivetrain.
no, then it starts to get limited, we start paying mileage every time they come down, some other stuff gets kicked out, I think it just gets your major components. That's.
How many hours are usually on them when you trade them in?
6 hours.
6,
6 hours.
a couple of them we sent back with lower hours
Well, with
because,
35, boy, you'd hate to just go on.
right, but I mean, I'm not sure what would happen if you don't do it and in a year you decide to trade it off. The thing that is the buyback's pretty good money in that buyback. I mean, you guys just saw the bids last month, after 5 years or 7 years, the buyback's like 140.
Can you find out what the buyback would be if we keep it another year or two?
I
They're
don't
just
think
gonna give you
there wouldn't be a guaranteed
No,
buyback,
it'll
this
be
is
just
still
trade-in
part of
value.
like
Based
the
on-
trade and sign type scenario we're doing, part of that is they guarantee to buy it back since it's under warranty yet and it's been maintained the way they want, it's part of their program.
Yeah.
If you don't comply with the program, the guaranteed buyback goes away, which doesn't mean anything either,
No, just-
you could run it another year and possibly get that money more, you more than likely would probably get less, but I mean, there's other counties that are running plenty of old blades that don't have warranty, so it's not like, oh my god, we have one without, I mean, if it had 20,000 hours on it, you'd be a little scared, but at 3,500, that machine
35,
is,
that's, yeah.
that machine is, it'd be comparable to a pickup, probably having 80,000 miles on it. It's got some wear and tear, but it's in dang good shape yet, so
Yeah, I would say.
if you wanna keep that as a spare like we did with that old GP for years, that thing wasn't under warranty for the last
I just assume wait another
5
year.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say run it, cause if we
Yeah, I
don't,
would
then
say
we're out, we're
wait
down
another
one
year.
machine really, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you decided to just get rid of it.
You don't have a spare then, right?
We don't have a spare like that one, it's the only oddball one out. I just want everybody to be on the same playing field. It is the only one with the antler rack, it's the only one with the narrow tires now. I mean, we've all kind of went,
Right,
so you're gonna,
But it's a good blade.
it's a good blade, but now you take someone that's been running this one and then theirs breaks down or something happens, they jump in that one. Are they capable of doing it? Yeah. Are they gonna be as efficient because they had that nice new one, you know, it's
I'm
kinda.
just sitting by it in a year, cause theirs is 11 years old right now.
We'll just appreciate the one.
You can buy it right now, 172
Well, why don't we do a trade, we'll give you ours as a spare and pay you a difference. There's really nothing wrong with
Be
it,
about
it's just
100,
old.
Just
be
old.
about 168,000 you have to give us then.
Some years the city one gets used 100 hours and then the next year it gets used 700 depending on how bad it gets.
And that's kinda what happens with our motor graders, and then, you know, we didn't have operators those 1 year, so those two that we turned back not these two last month, but the two prior, they were kinda on the lower hour machines, so they did actually give us a little bit more than their buyback. I mean, it wasn't like, oh my god, but they did give us a little bit. I asked them if, since this was a low-hour machine, if they would do better on their buyback. Didn't sound like it, if we were just gonna, they might be able to do it if they looked at it towards the trade-in, they might bump it up, but it's a lot of paperwork for, I tried to get the best scenarios of everything so we could make the best decision. We don't really, doesn't really bother us either way. I mean, if we're gonna keep it, I don't think I'd put the warranty on it. You're gonna spend 20 grand, I mean, if you drop an engine, you might end up spending an extra 10 that year, but how often does that happen? So, I don't know if warranty,
well, the odds of a 3,500 hour machine that's been under warranty and maintained going down, I mean, that's your best chance of a machine probably not doing it, right? If you're gonna gamble on not warranting a machine, that's probably one you could probably get by with, and in a year or two, you might trade it off and then you'd save that money on the warranty.
Right.
You might not even get anybody to run it and hardly run any hours on
I
it,
would
so
keep
you're gonna
it
have a
on.
warranty
It's like
on
vehicle
something. Yep.
extended warranty.
Yeah, it's same thing, I would keep it in that.
Do you do it? I don't. Extended warranty on the vehicle?
No,
I do,
Do you?
absolutely.
I'd never do.
My vehicles don't have warranty, so
Well-
you guys warranty stuff here.
When I did it,
Now,
yes, I put the extended warranty on.
I'm the guy buying it after the warranty expires, that's why. Like my 03 Tahoe sitting outside.
So,
But yeah, I don't know, that's the consensus is just keep it.
Keep it
Just
another year,
just
I
keep
would
going
keep
as
it
you're
another
doing.
year.
and then I think we're just gonna kinda keep using it, let the guy that's running it just keep using it and
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
put the hours on it and like,
and
cause then
also,
when these other ones, this other spare one, when that comes due, that'll be a really nice machine and maybe we don't ever get rid of that one.
well, and this one is paid for too, now we're not making payments on it no more
Right.
at this stage, so it's not really costing us a lot if it sits around now, and it's not like
Right.
we're paying 40 grand a year on it to sit there, so.
Let's say,
Right, and you know, if you keep it in decent shape, in a year from now, we might be able to trade it in on something else, and maybe get a good market too, I would say if you keep it in decent shape, what the heck, so.
There'd be another county that wants it cheaper, they can't afford it, that'd be a good.
Well, and that's the thing, there's no guarantee that the guaranteed buyback now is the total, they might have someone in the market for a machine like that, you could get similar, or, you know, maybe next, you use it for a year or two and you get 160 grand for it in a couple of years, you could, I mean,
You
Dic-
could,
the market
I don't see
dictates
that
it.
happening, I see it taking about a $40,000 hit. That's just me, that's just my personal belief, so
Well,
that's why we kinda decided we shouldn't do warranty, because you spend 40 grand to do it for 2 years, and then you took an $80,000 hit, then really.
The average payment on a blade somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 to 50,000 a year. I mean, obviously now they're probably pushing 50,000 a year for an annual payment on a blade, so.
We're at over 60 already.
Yeah, you better keep pumping
So,
those
well, my
numbers up.
point is that you lose 40 grand on trade and what's paid for already, you start swapping
Right.
this numbers game. If you get work out of it, you get someone that can run it for a couple months, or whoever you get anybody, use it as a spare while you're down and keep your productivity up, that 30 to 40,000 pays for itself there, so
Yeah.
I'd say keep it.
So, it says to keep it, no warranty.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, I will let the manufacturer know that. We're gonna keep it, no, there'll be no buyback on this one, so.
Okay.
Okay, so do we wanna advertise for summer help blade operator position then?
Well, you were advertising for a
Truck
seasonal,
drivers.
like a seasonal help.
I
The
would,
Golden Boy's coming back.
They were kinda just,
He hung.
when we needed them, like it was hey, you got time to do it today? Yep, they saw a need for the county and they stepped up to the plate. Like, I have nothing but great things to say about them. They were awesome to work with and stuff like that, so. But we can advertise, we have yet to advertise for,
I would advertise for a blade operator and.
I guess let's see
It's
what,
just for the summer months.
I wouldn't have a problem with that at all.
I guess we actually we advertised for a seasonal highway maintenance worker too. So it didn't say truck driver, it didn't say anything about it. I mean, it says you should have a CDL and stuff like that. But we also, if that's what we wanna go with, and then keep it at that pay scale, or, I mean, obviously, we've had that running for, like I said, a month, and no takers, really.
For which one?
Seasonal maintenance worker too.
How about, you got no offers at all? No,
I had a guy call the other day, just yesterday, and he's like, I heard you had a blade position open. I was like, nah, I kinda didn't, and he's like, a full-time blade position. I was like, no, all we have is summertime help.
so what's the summertime blade position get?
Well, it'd be just fall into the seasonal maintenance worker
Oh.
too, and we set that with the pay scale of 24. $24.16 is what we're advertising for right now. So we could go up a pay grade or a scale a little bit, I mean, might be $1 more, we could go up, so. Do we wanna,
Well, the only struggle is I think if you advertise for a temporary summer blade operator, it's gonna be pretty tough to find somebody. I mean, I don't think it hurts to advertise for it, but like I said, there are some people around the county that would probably do it, but it's probably not, it's gonna be part-time temporary. Look, they're gonna wanna give you like 2-3 days a week for the summer, which is still better than nothing, but is that consistent enough to make it, I mean, is that what we want? I mean, that's the only thing, I mean, it's better than nothing, but.
so do we wanna advertise just for a seasonal blade operator? I mean, then we kinda already are advertising for, we need an equipment.
Well, that's kind of where, I mean, with an equipment operator like that, but it doesn't really say blade operator, so I don't know if really that matters, cause if anybody's willing to run a blade, if they would be interested in that job, I mean, you could have them run a blade if they knew how to run a blade, like, it's not like the, so I don't know, I don't know if there's a lot of value in advertising for a seasonal blade operator when you're already advertising for a temporary summer help, like. I mean, any of the people that I've talked to would probably take $24 an hour to run a blade, so if they're already not advertising, like, I mean, I don't know, just kinda, if you're not getting any interest in it, I don't know if advertising as a summer blade job is gonna do any better. You could sure do it, but you probably have to up it a couple bucks an hour if you're
Well,
gonna get a
I was
blade
gonna say,
operator
yeah,
versus a
that's-
truck driver.
That's what I would do, because I would give more to the blade operator than the truck driver.
You could advertise for a seasonal blade operator, and if you get one, then you just don't hire a seasonal truck driver, you know what I mean? I mean, if you get one, it's like, cool, I got a blade operator, I guess we'll survive without a truck guy, and you just,
Right.
I'd say you hire one person, if it's a blade operator, great.
Well, maybe you could do both.
Well, right, I mean, obviously, like you said, if it's somebody that's got a CDL, and you could utilize them that way, but it's hard because the whole point of bringing on another blade guy is so like when you pull Gar off to work on 17th, you could have that guy maybe go to Braddock and keep that federal aid going and some of them other roads going, or same with Al, right? Whoever you pull off to help, that's where your temporary guy goes and runs that route at least to help out and keep things moving.
Yep.
I mean, you seen what happened before when we pulled Gar, the Braddock folks were in praising Gar, but they just missed him, they didn't see him all summer, well, we were using them on other stuff, which, that's what happens, you know, so.
A blade operator does not need a CDL, is that correct?
No,
No,
That, maybe that would help too, where you are offering, you want a CDL, but maybe if it's a blade operator and not a, but the,
right, and I guess I was reading through it, I mean, we don't specify a blade operator, cause we were tailoring it to, it's more of like a tractor trailer, so we can change the primary duties a little bit up and then,
or have two different ones, maybe.
yeah, we can
just-
do a seasonal one, but now when you get a seasonal one and you don't require a CDL, but they have blade experience, are you gonna pay them more? I mean, are we have to set a boundary here, like, of what we're gonna start to offer them, because some guy off the street that with no experience just wants to come in and help with no CDL, with, working culverts, stuff like that. Well, we set that scale at a certain dollar amount, and then you got a guy that's like, well, I don't have a CDL, but I wanna run blade. Now you gotta pay him up with, equipment operator 2s.
Couldn't you advertise for multiple positions and just put the pay depending on experience and say,
Right.
like, I mean, like,
exactly.
like if you just like, we have a 1 and a 2 position open, the pay, you come in and you're like, I don't drive truck, I don't have a CDL, but I can run a blade, I can run a hoe, I can run all this other stuff.
Right.
And you have references that check out and you're like, wow, okay, this guy could make, 25, 26 an hour, then you pay him that, and if it's some 20-year-old kid looking for some experience, we'll take you, cause you're still decent enough or have this and that, but you're only gonna get 23, I think you have to create some flexibility for yourself so you get applicants in too, like in a way, like,
Right, well.
you're kind of pigeonholing it a little bit if you try and like put every description down and every pay scale, it's gonna be hard to do, so.
I get that, but then you muddy the waters, and we worked so hard last year to get those waters
I think
somewhat
you can
clear.
muddy the waters on a temporary position though. I think the full-time stuff is different. Right now, we're just looking for a couple bodies that are gonna come in and hopefully help us out. Like, and if they don't work out, you cut them loose right away, and if it rains, you cut them loose, and when it freezes, you cut them, that's the understanding. You're only gonna probably get local guys looking to fill a time schedule, or guys that are semi-retired, like, yeah, I'll go make a little money, and then as soon as, September, October comes around, they're probably sick and tired of it anyway and wanna quit, and just like farming or anything, you got your seasonal kind of guys. I think we need to kind of create some kind of an element where we can bring on guys temporarily to get some work, help done, and give our crew some relief so that if they do take a day off, they don't get reamed out because they're not getting their roads bladed, and these other guys can hopefully fill in,
Well, we can change it up, but, like,
I think I
I
would-
want it to be very clear that we have been advertising for almost a whole month, actually, it's over been a month, so.
Right, but I think you need
Nobody
to
wants to
widen
look
your,
at this rain.
you need to widen your net too, though, like,
Right,
that's what I'm
we
saying,
can,
you
we
just need
can,
to.
we can tweak it.
Right.
I want people to think that this isn't just something new that we're bringing on, so.
Yep, I know, but that's what I'm saying, like, there's gotta be 1 or 2 people out there that can fit some kind of a mold that you can create, and that's what we're looking, we're not looking for the perfect summer helper. We're just looking for somebody that can come and help us make things better, that's it. I mean, if you find a 20-year-old guy that's got energy and wanting to learn, you pay him a little less, and if he works out, maybe you can bring him, maybe he's a local farmer or rancher that's looking for a little side cash. Those are the kinds of guys we need. We almost need like a volunteer fire department scenario where you can just get some guys in here that'll come in for a few weeks and that can drive truck or run a blade a little bit. They might not be the greatest, but by God, it's better than nothing, and,
What do you got in your budget for that? I mean, you got for 2 guys, enough for 2 guys in your budget?
well, I wouldn't say 2 guys, I would just say.
Right, well, we did budget for 2, like, summer help
Right.
guys, but at a lower rate, so you change one up to a higher rate, then that messes with everything, so. Then,
Yeah,
that
that's
brings the question, do
Right.
we wanna stay within our pay scale, or if you got a guy
So-
that's got a good experience on a motor grader, and he's like, yeah, we offer him 29, what our starting blade operators would make, because that's in your pay scale, you could bump them up a little bit, so now you're into the 31, 32, and he's like, no, I want this. What do you do then? Do you negotiate with them? Do you
Well,
say,
no, I think that's where
this
you
is what
have a
we're
limit, where
paying?
you're like, we're not paying that much, and that's what, I mean, the one thing you gotta remember with temporary help too is, and you know this, but I'm just, for the sake of discussion, if they're not getting any benefits and they're not getting retirement, all that other stuff, I mean, you can swing them $3-4 an hour above maybe a different pay scale, because they're only gonna be here for 90 days maybe, and they're gonna make some money and get out of here, and then you're not paying all that PERS and the other stuff too, so. I mean, you know, when you talk about even budget constraints, it's not just about matching dollar for dollar with the full-time guys out here, it's about going, your value is while the sun's shining, yeah, we can pay you 29 and whatever, and then you just, I mean, there's gotta be some mobility in that so you can bring people in, so.
Right, and that's, I mean, there is a little bit.
When it comes to temporary stuff, I think you can muddy the waters, as long as you're not screwing with the whole, I mean, the full-time stuff we sorted out, but that's a whole nother ballgame versus bringing guys in to drive a truck for 6 weeks.
And maybe you're only gonna find one guy that will work.
Yeah, and you're probably gonna have to sweeten the pot to make it worth their time, but if it's, I mean,
Right, but what do, we just said that, like, where do we stop sweetening the pot?
You can create friction though, there with your guys that you got on board, am I right?
That's,
I mean,
That's the
I'm not-
whole,
I
the
know, but-
reward chain, I mean,
But
the
not, not
workforce
as
chain.
temporary though, you wouldn't think.
That shit, excuse me, that don't set with people that are employed on
Yeah.
a full-time basis. And I
I know,
come in
but
as
they
a
really need to
retired
look at the
farmer,
big picture with their, if
and
you're
I'm
not
at the
getting
pay scale
benefits.
that they're at.
I
even
get
though I
that,
don't
but
get
you start benefit, I mean, you start pulling the benefits.
I know.
I know. but-
Everybody's at 40+ an hour when you start
Right.
counting.
I agree 100%,
But
but
this guy
people
don't
don't
need it.
look at it that way, they don't look at the benefit as being an added thing.
Well, then we
They-
kinda gotta quit caring what they think like that, because.
No, I'm just telling you,
I hear you.
I've been there, I know what it's like.
Oh, I 100% agree with you. And I've been where places where no matter how skilled you are, or how whatever, you all make the same amount of money. Like,
The days of bringing in summer help for $10 an hour are gone, though, guys. I mean, it's.
Right, I'm aware of
Well,
that.
no, I'm just saying
But
that for the
you muddy
general
the waters,
discussion, I get
boys.
it, but I mean.
And
you-
Skylar's a good blade operator and knows how to run a blade, and I come on board as a farmer coming on. And I don't care about the benefits, because I don't need them benefits, I've got my own. And I'll work for what they're getting, $35 an hour, say. That don't work good in the shop with the guys, even though they know they're getting these benefits. But it's just that fact that they're getting them wages.
That they don't have to
But
work.
will it help if they realize that they don't have to put in 4 more weekends in the summertime?
Well, you know, we just talked about, oh, you can't ask them to work overtime.
It's kind of a give and
You
take.
gotta bring a crew in that's gonna work some extra time, so we're not working 70 hours a week, and then them guys splitting because they're working 70 hours a week.
Some
So
employees are starting to
Somebody,
realize.
somebody's gonna have to give a little, I mean, that's just how it is, but. I would say when it comes to your seasonal stuff, I'd say just broaden your net a little bit and open it up a little bit and just, you know, it's a trial period thing. Maybe it's the worst thing in the world to bring temporary guys in, maybe it's the greatest thing, I don't know, but you gotta try some, like, we're in the mode where we gotta be doing everything we can.
okay,
So-
well, we'll do that then. We'll change it up a little bit and advertise again and see what comes about. I think that's I mean, we covered a pretty big, vast topics today.
Yeah, I mean, it's only 1:30, so.
Excuse me, I gotta go to the bathroom.
Yeah, it's been a long,
It's been a long way.
maybe we should take a little 5-minute break at least, then we'll just keep, we're almost done instead of going to lunch or nothing else, since we're almost at dinner. so. Take a
Anything
little
for
5-minute
me?
break. I think we covered enough, right? You good?
What, well, let's just, there, you guys had the old business, well, one, what are we doing with Jim Hyde's road? You guys
Okay,
think-
well, let's just take a 5-minute recess, then we'll come back. Order. Okay, so the discussion talked about before the recess was the request for James Hyde, on the road located in the northeast quarter, section 32, township 133, range 76, tabled from last meeting. Josh, did you find any new information?
No, I had Anita look, because she was here at the time, and I looked myself, there's no easements or right-of-ways for any part of this that comes off the section
To
line.
get to the section line?
Yeah, the state created an access control point, so an approach can be put there, and that's it. So there's nothing going through Everly's or the old railroad that would create an easement or anything, so.
I mean, kinda. Is Joe here? Good. Got a Joe question. Just a talk. You almost got out of it.
What's going on?
So the request was for when James Hyde was requesting gravel.
Oh, yeah.
There's parcels in between the highway and the section line that he wants gravelled. those parcels are privately owned and there's no recorded easement. Obviously, it's probably an established trail type scenario, we can probably drive over the road, but as far as graveling it, or, I mean, it's not his property and it's not county right away, is it? I mean,
No, I know, we'd probably just get permission from those landowners to work that road, I would
Sure.
think that'd be sufficient.
well, then the proper mode, if that was the case, would probably be to see if they would sign some kind of easement then, and try and kind of create it then, if we're gonna, I mean, if we're gonna gravel that section line, you are going over what looks to be an Everly's and Wendy Wangler's property, I mean, now granted, I would imagine the established trail scenario, like we can probably drive on the road, but to improve the road or something might be a whole, I don't know, is that, I don't know if it means nothing or not, I just wanna make sure we're not.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be proper to get an easement, it'd be difficult to get an easement because I don't have a legal description of draft an easement. You know, like if you were a private citizen, you asked me to draft an easement to your neighbor's property, I would tell you to go get a survey and bring me that survey legal description, and I could plug that into my easement. And, you know, because otherwise, I'm sure Josh could come up with something a lot closer than I could, but it probably isn't gonna be 100%.
Yeah.
Well, then I guess the question I would have is if you decide you're gonna gravel that road, you'd almost just have to gravel on the section line, then you really don't have the authority to do so. Am I overcomplicating it? You guys can fill me in, but
I don't think we would either.
I mean, like I said, the idea that that road's been there 80 years probably, I don't think it's gonna be an issue, but at the same time, technically, that road is,
It's not,
That's more.
I'm not gonna interpret what a court would say, who has liability or rights to that, so that, I mean, now if you drive on the road to gravel the section line, I highly doubt there's any liability or issue with that, but you probably have to make sure you only gravel the section line, and where it deviates, you'd have to leave
So
on.
you wanna gravel at those 2 points that you just pointed out, from that angle coming off the highway
Yep,
to the driveway that goes north into his yard, correct?
right, wherever it stops and deviates to the north.
Just where you got your
Basically,
point to the
yep.
Yeah,
north
because
and
the
then
33
east.
feet would end.
Pardon?
About where he's got his fence here, the 33 feet would end,
How
so
So
far
you
is
would
that
be
in
in the
there?
right of way there
What's
probably.
that?
How far is that road going in?
all the way.
No, from where it curves,
Basically, what's just on the section line, at
yeah, from there,
800 feet,
Yeah.
1,000 feet?
what
Yeah,
is it, 800 feet?
800?
Yeah.
And what's it coming down? 400?
Yeah.
Yeah, pushing it, yeah, 350 to 400 feet.
So what, 2 loads of gravel on that 400 feet?
To go to the new standards, it'll be.
I was gonna say, if you want a half an inch of gravel on it.
I mean, because if we do it now, if we only put 2 loads on it, then maybe in 10 years, maybe 1 year, you might come back and want more. I mean, we don't wanna build a foot of gravel on there and stuff like that.
Well, I don't think he wants that, I mean, I think
I think
he's
he
just
just
asking for some help, and I don't begrudge that at all. It's the main question is it's another one of them roads that wasn't, you know, you start incurring the idea where it's like, now you're laying gravel on roads that aren't even in the right of way now, it's,
I don't,
like, I mean, that road is a section line, once it curves and goes east-west, and it goes until it goes to his garage driveway, you know, and maybe they want a hair of gravel going past it a little bit. It's probably one of them things where you could gravel it with a couple loads of gravel and probably make him happy,
Happy as can be.
you know?
I'd
So,
say one load.
I don't have a problem with that, just the question of the, you know, like you said, you probably don't wanna gravel all the way to the highway because there is not an easement there, so it's, you're technically, I don't think Wendy would care, or the Everly's, whoever owns that property, but at the same time, all
Have they
city,
been contacted?
you know, I mean,
I haven't contacted him because it's not my,
well, our main firm,
Is that,
we
what's her
would,
name, Wendy Wangler, who else?
Rodney, Everly, Bonnie.
Bonnie,
Yeah, there's some, Ketchum, they're not Ketchum, but,
it's Ketchum.
Herbs.
Ketchum.
Herb, no.
well, what I'm saying is the reason we haven't asked him yet is the first thing we had Josh do was look and see if there was an easement.
Yep.
He hasn't found an easement, so now the next question is, do you just not gravel that, or like you said, you start seeking permission and maybe getting something in writing that says, yeah, they basically you can gravel it, or you can fix it, or whatever, it's Jim's driveway, or, but now you're, I
They've
mean,
never made a fuss that he drives it, right?
not to my knowledge, I don't think it's really a big deal,
Not
maybe
that I
some of
would-
they might not even know their parcel goes all the way through there, it's hard, because that Everly one, that actually comes from the other side of the highway too, doesn't it, Josh?
Mhm, yeah.
So it's one of them weird things where they only own like a sliver of it right there, like, yeah. Or no, not them, Wendy, they own both sides, and then Wendy owns that little, cause that's the railroad right away. And so it's kind of one of those weird lots, they maybe don't even quite understand.
So
what
did they
the
do
corner
that, did
is.
they do that for?
They must have did that because it blocked with the railroad.
I would say the
Oh, I'm
highway.
sure,
It blocked
And
with the
the-
northwest prevailing winds. It
Probably
blocked
the
so they went
distance-
south
With that ditch.
And come out to the highway, and then it became a trail.
Yeah.
And the distance from the top of the highway, probably the
Common
DOT, you know, they made them move that approach, you know.
Oh, yeah, for visibility and stuff, yes.
That was common sense because of the cut of that railroad. Look,
Right.
that's why they had to do it.
Right, but they should've got an easement and everything.
Yeah, but
else.
it was back in the 1910.
Right, but I mean, Materi, that's what we're trying to fight though, you know, is some of this stuff where now, cause is that a private road or is that a section line? And that's what,
That an
that's the question.
established trail that has been there for 92.6 years.
I would say it's part of the section.
I don't
And the
disagree.
railroad was laid in 1896.
Well, these discussions need to get had, cause as soon as you make a mistake, then you're getting called out on it,
Yeah,
like that's how
it's
you
county
get
record, yeah.
I
Well,
would say put
that's
2
what I
loads
mean.
of gravel on that little stretch.
2 loads of gravel, you might as well not put any if you're gonna put 2 loads of
God.
cheese.
That's why we get out.
It makes it sound.
You wanna get yelled at again, go put 2 loads on it. You
It's
wanna-
asinine.
It is,
It's
but,
common sense as to come
but,
to
Well,
take,
you know, you.
I agree, but, and then now you have to, how do you, if we drive across it, even if in the best conditions, are they gonna say we ruined their
No.
section of road?
Well, I can tell you one
Everything.
thing, you're gonna go and gravel that road, we had people in here already begging for road on, gravel on their actual certified road, like I said, it's merits of discussion, because whatever decision you make, it's an equal and opposite reaction somewhere else, you know, we should be graveling the Tower Hill Road, obviously, we should be towering out by, like graveling out by
We
Herman's.
put gravel on the Tower Hill Road yesterday and today.
Well, no, we only did that because he was coming
Look
to
at
the
that.
meeting, that's what he accused
Why?
us
And they
of.
carved the belly to build the
No.
railroad.
Right, but
Whatever.
just feels.
I guess, I'm not opposed to graveling
And
this road,
some
the
of
hard
those
part is
deals were
when we do
done in the bar
At night.
with the guys, as they called them, landmen.
You
We
can't-
need an easement to build this railroad.
Right, but you can't.
And it
do
was a
that.
handshake over a whiskey coke.
I know,
I'm
That's
sure
what
that-
it was.
I know that, but.
That's what I got, you know.
Those days are over.
Dan, you're not getting an argument about some of these common sense decisions, but I'm telling you, you've seen the repercussions when you make a mistake. We have to dot every T or an I.
Oh, my
I
God.
know, and I mean, even the discussion of the private drive, yeah, you went in and you helped out old lady Johnson because she needed help. I don't really care with that either. But then you're either helping them all, or somebody doesn't like that old lady, now they're in here screaming for you to resign, so, I
They
mean.
put that road there, they got permission, I'm sure, from the
Yep.
railroad or from the highway because of visibility or because of the big berm
Well,
there.
there's that cut, look at that,
Yeah.
look at the hole cut in there on the
Yeah.
railroad. They'd have come out where they carved that hill out.
Yep.
They carved the hill out and took that
Yeah.
dirt
Yeah.
and went into a low area.
Well,
They
and even
couldn't go in the
most
belt.
of the railroad crossings are perpendicular too, and you can see they
Yeah.
made it, so it's like, you
Yeah.
know, they didn't like them at an angle.
They didn't want them at an
Right,
angle.
exactly, so, like you said, it's got all the common sense in the world, but we need to discuss it and make sure it's proper, so that we'll, now all of a sudden at the bar, everybody finds out we're graveling private roads again, so. that's-
Exactly.
I mean, that's where we're at, I
Exactly.
mean, it's the
Well, then
nature of where
it's
we're
not a
at.
private road.
Well, if we're in agreement of that, that's fine, and I don't disagree
My
with the
opinion,
entire
it's
section.
established trail that's been there since the railroad was carved in.
Well, established trails, if they're not on the right of way though, that's the discussion is the right of way, I mean.
I understand.
There's
Right, 'cause
technically,
we'll have-
legally, no right of way to the section line, legally, if you're gonna go that.
So I would say get a hold of Bonnie and get a hold of Wendy Wangler and have them sign an affidavit, whatever, of a release of liability onto them.
And we'll
Am
go
I
in-
right or wrong? I don't
go in and
know.
put some
Joe,
gravel
what should
on
a
it.
guy do?
Well, I don't think that's a bad idea. I mean, it'd be nice to have something that we could record, like an easement, but without a legal description, it's tough, so.
Well, I think, could we entertain,
Draw up an
well,
easement.
can we entertain the idea of getting some permission or something like you said, signed and notarized, so that we're not like getting accused of trampling over their piece of property? Gravel it and get it, so Jim and those using that road are happy, and we work on an easement going forward, you know what I mean, like, if we're gonna maintain it, it's kinda like what we talked about, right? We're either doing it or we're not, like, so, in 10 years, yeah, it looks a little, yeah, they ironed out an easement, yeah, put a couple loads of gravel on it, instead of always having to reinvent the wheel with some of this stuff, we're trying to right it's like what we talked about with the city county.
City council.
Because we're trying to right the wrongs of everybody having to assume there's something, like, let's try and
So
fix
we're
this.
gonna approve to go in, if I'm looking at this right, correct me if I'm thinking wrong. We're gonna come off the blacktop,
Yep,
drive up to that curve,
Yep.
no blading, back up, drop the blade, blade over to where the road curves north into the yard, turn around and drive back out, a blade going out, lift the blade and drive back out to the highway on the curb.
Yep.
If you don't get permission from the landowners or an easement, I know, it doesn't.
I think then we got to have Joe get an affidavit or an easement drawn up.
Well, does somebody
And
know these
confront the
landowners
two
that can
people.
contact them at least? Do any of
You know
Rodney,
Bonnie,
or-
I know Bonnie.
Yeah.
I
And I know
mean, you
Wendy
contact
White.
them and give
I'll
them,
talk
just,
to
just
them.
at least go, this is the deal, we gotta dot every I and cross every T. Will you come in and just sign something, says we can go across that, and you know what, since we're doing that too, like I said, throw a load or blade it up, make it pretty, and we'll go and try and get an easement done on it.
I would say they're gonna sign it.
Yeah. I would say
They've
they
been
would.
traveling that road for the last
Well,
X number.
I would
of years, you know?
say they would,
But
but,
let's do it to cover butt.
I mean, neighbors don't
Okay.
always get along either,
No,
though.
I know they
mean,
don't.
we've had that proven too, so.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, we seen that.
We have, I'm telling you, we're not having this conversation because I'm trying to be a jerk.
I hear
If it was
you.
up to me, West Massville building 75 feet off the road ain't that big a deal to me either, but dang it, the rules are the rules, and every time we break a rule, then we get
Somebody
letters
else
to the
come
editor,
back.
and we get yelled at, I mean,
First thing I grab the Emmons County record,
That's
look
what
at
they-
the second page, letter to the editor.
if that's what they want, is
And
everything by
they're
the
not
book, then
going
so
I
do
come where nobody will want to even run as a city
There
commissioner
you
ever
go.
again, ever.
That's where we're at, so, okay, well, I would say Skylar on your end, just wait a little bit until we get these approvals, but I would say, I don't think anybody's got a problem with us doing it, as long as we make sure we're not gonna get,
Limits, yeah.
Do you want to draw something up, Joe?
Yeah,
Draw something up, and if I have to, I'll go and I'll talk to both these people.
I'll
And get them
go.
notarized.
I mean, I know Wendy, but I don't know the others.
I know Ronnie and Bonnie.
You know
Okay,
Ronnie.
somebody else?
So do we, yeah.
Okay, good enough.
Yeah, they'll sign that, that's.
If it's not a
You're not
problem,
selling nothing.
Josh, what's the legal description for that up there?
133-76, section 32,
Okay, thank you.
northeast
What's it,
corner.
Hyde's first name?
Jim or James.
The state has that approach survey as an access
Rodney
point, so
did.
we can base illegal off
Rodney did.
that.
Oh, okay.
Like do it in a northeasterly, whatever.
You got it,
20
Joe?
feet or something.
Thank
I'll
you.
give you this.
Sounds good.
You got it, they're on their names, the full names?
Yeah, I got it. I just needed to know where to look when I got back to the office.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, well, this ain't tough on that one.
Yeah, just wait.
We got enough roads to put some gravel.
Yeah, I'd say you got enough stuff to do in the meantime, so.
What is, she's.
Is that it then?
On my end,
Well,
Good enough.
we've got a little bit more yet.
She was the only living heir.
Okay,
Her sibling got killed there with the Grenzes.
what's that?
We
now?
need to have a little discussion with some of your employees, taking a county vehicle and getting their snacks through the day. I mean, everybody else, like, I'll just use Marlis, she doesn't hop in a little white car and get snacks through the day. If they got to get something, get it the night before.
okay, do you have, anybody that's been doing that?
Oh, I've seen different ones down here, Dollar General mostly.
We do buy a lot of stuff for the Dollar General through the
Right.
shop and everything like that, so.
Right.
Could you, what snacks were you getting?
No, I'm just saying in general.
Right, but now, this is where it gets tricky now, cause now you're making an accusation, cause they're getting their snacks, but then we also buy a lot of stuff for the county at the Dollar General, so was it really getting a snack, or was it doing something for the county?
Okay, now that, we don't know that they're getting it for the county or for themselves.
Right, so, I mean, very seldom do I see anybody take the county pickup to go get anything for themselves. Not saying it hasn't happened, if that's an issue that we wanna address, sure, let's address it.
Well, we need to have that discussion then, because people see you down there,
Right, but
see
they,
the county vehicle in there,
right,
and it needs to be brought out, so they know.
right,
Because like we discussed before, it's about accountability, protecting you.
right, I totally get it.
You know, I've been there before and told you that, so.
So are we gonna, once again, and I totally get where this is all coming from, and I always like to play devil's advocate. I always like to think of the worst case scenario. So if the guys are driving by the gas station on the way out to a project, they can't swing in there and grab a pop?
I have no problem with that. We
I mean,
do it at Chem Electric all the time.
This is what's gonna, this is where these are the discussions, it's
That's right,
common
yeah.
sense, it's just a couple seconds, you're right there,
Like,
or
go
do
in
you
there,
want them
grab
to
something, get
drive?
something to eat or something like that.
You know, if it's an everyday occurrence, yeah, then we need to stop it,
Right.
absolutely, 100%, if they're coming to work, and even when I ran a private business, it was, don't come to work to get in the county, or the company pickup to drive to get your stuff, grab it. Sometimes you forget it, sometimes you're like, man, we're gonna go out, I wanna grab an extra water or a pop or whatever.
Sandwich or something, is that?
Something.
Yeah, no, that-
But just,
Exactly.
we do try to keep a lot of stuff local in this town, so a lot of
Right,
that stuff we
yeah.
buy at the Dollar General, these came from the Dollar General,
Yep,
right? So,
right,
I mean, I get it, and I'm not saying it doesn't happen.
okay.
We will, I'll make it clear, but I don't.
Just because, I mean, I'm not pointing, but the public sees.
Right,
And you know, how the
but,
public talks and walks.
right, but they only
End of perception.
see what they wanna see, they're getting snacks, or, if they wanna know what we're doing all the time, come work for the road department. Like, seriously, if you wanna know what we're doing every day of the week, come work for the road department. And then you will know, other than speculating, cause all they're doing is they're speculating on what they did. Now, I've dropped some stuff off, have I bought a candy bar when I'm in there? Right, but I was dropping stuff off at so now, where you split that hair? Was I buying a snack using the county pickup? No, I was dropping stuff off at the county, I would just happen to be there. I mean, I get it, it's just,
Right,
I see your point, and I'm not, but it's just, if they wanna know what we're doing every day, come work for us. Then they'll know. So, but I will address it and make sure that nobody's just randomly going there, and
yep,
I get it, it comes up, so we will do that.
yep.
Anybody have anything else? Nope. Good.
Long day.
Okay, thanks,
Everyone
Tyler.
these used to take till 5:30 though?
Yeah.
Not you, James.
Without lunch, you know?
That's why everybody's so crabby, we ain't eating no lunch.
We're stepping up, Skylar. We're stepping up.
Well, I thought you were just giving me crap about this here material the other day, weren't you? I mean, you were
Yeah, I
skipping
was,
lunch,
I'm getting rid of it, yeah.
Called me fat the other day.
Well, he was
Can you believe
standing the
that?
other day, was kinda.
Is there a policy on commissioners abusing other commissioners? You called me fat right in front of my mother.
I didn't call you.
Did it right in front of my mom, Jerry.
Make a motion.
But it was good your dad walked in.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to call him a liar when I have a mirror though. He said it and I'm like, I know. Anyway, cause I don't think the Hyde one was the only thing we pushed out till the end, so the last discussion will be the industrial conditional use permit discussion brought forward by Commissioner Miller. If you wanna go ahead and dig into that a little bit, Craig?
Well, I was kinda interested, about battery banks or storage units for wind towers and solar units. If it comes to that, we don't have any ordinances on that. If we wanna discuss what we wanna set up for that, or if we want to include that in the 3%, permit fee. Add that onto the list. Because I do believe it's coming sooner or later.
Is it? You think?
How long have those turbines been out there? 5 years?
2019 they got built, so 2020 they were activated, yeah, 4 to 5 years.
See, 'cause somebody made a remark the other day, was it Sunday when we were standing there about these blades? Life expectancy is what, 10 years?
Well, life expectancy is like 20 years, but they have the subsidy benefit where they have to repower within, or there's a subsidy within 10 years, you have to repower, which is basically change the blades out.
Blades or
And
something,
so the industry standard is they repower these things after 10 years, not because the blades are bad, but because the subsidy runs out if they don't do it within 10 years.
So then they update it.
Exactly, they call it repowering, but right, they put new blades on them and whatever, upgrades to the turbine, whatever upgrades are necessary to, and whatever qualify for the subsidy, I'm assuming. And then, obviously, the other issue is that they need to dispose of.
Oh, these blades.
We have roughly 80 wind towers in the county, times 3 is 240 blades-ish.
What are they gonna do with them? They said that you're looking for process, we just shred them in the local area and create a pit to put them in?
Well,
Or aren't they using them now in cement?
I think it depends on a variety of different things, if these are the same material as what they're using. Also, if they have a disposal pit of some kind nearby, but I would assume the most practical thing is that at some point, they're gonna need a disposal pit in this county, or
Oh,
Logan,
yeah.
and Logan at least. I don't know, I mean, I'm this,
Thinking ahead.
it's assumption, but at the same time, we know it's an industry standard that they are repowering them within roughly 10 years, and they have 240 blades, which, I mean, you seen them come in on the trucks, are they gonna haul them out like that, and haul them
They should
hundreds
haul
of
back
miles?
where-
Well,
That's
you know
where
what I
they were
mean,
going.
but
Haul them back where they got.
they're gonna probably do what I would do if I'm thinking of the best way to do it, I'd drop them to the ground, break them into pieces, throw them in a truck and dump them somewhere, that's what I would do, like, so.
But they were shredding them, I think.
Well, yeah,
Some
you
of
would
them were
have to,
shredding, they
because
use them in binder and cement.
you've seen the equipment power it takes to move one of them things when they come down the highway.
It's all fiberglass and stuff, right?
Well,
All
it's like,
fiberglass
it's some
runs
kind of a
with a steel
composite.
head or a
yeah.
steel base
So I wonder
to
if
bolt
they're
them
gonna, I
on.
wonder if they're gonna have all kinds of asbestos stuff or whatever, are they toxic to the environment?
Who knows? Has it ever questioned? I don't know.
I know the biggest thing about it is gonna be,
Disposal.
one, disposal, and two, I mean, we know for a fact, like, I don't think this, we got some, this must be minutes where we amended the special, or the conditional use permit, but, Clay Cameron had come in here, and it was, we were meeting in here, so it's been within like the last 2 years, and had mentioned that I'd have to find it at home in one of my files, but Next Era was looking at doing like a battery storage
battery,
facility,
obviously.
but it never came up, were you commissioner at that time?
Yeah,
Oh,
he
so it's
sat
been,
there.
yeah, look, 2
Yeah.
years or less now,
Yeah.
so, and that's when they were talking about having them climate controlled shipping containers, and they were gonna put the battery units inside them, and then now we seen that parcel get parceled off of Jimmy Schmidt's, right? If I remember right, he even made the suggestion that's about where we're gonna go, cause it'll be right by the substation,
Right
right?
by the sub.
So, one could assume,
Did we grant him a permit at that day? No.
no, that was just I think he was just being a good
Just-
neighbor, just coming in, telling us what might be in the works and coming down the pipe, obviously that was 2 years ago, so obviously he was either really, really early or something's changed, but I know when Craig had just brought it up to me about putting it on the agenda, his concern was, we really don't have anything specified for kind of like a battery storage facility, you know, I mean, it's something we need to make sure that, it's just like the carbon pipeline or any of this stuff. It's the first time the county's probably ever seeing it, are we prepared to zone it?
Or is this something that they're doing like the legislature?
Or are they trying to get the legislature to bypass us again and
Yeah.
supersede our ordinances?
Yeah.
Right, I mean, I don't know, so it was, I thought it was worthy to put on the agenda too, and I thought it was very good thinking by Craig to at least bring it forward, and we, you know, I don't think we gotta make a decision today, but we need to
Just be aware.
start doing some research and probably start, you know, our condition, the world's changing around us all the time, and we're guinea pigs for some of these projects, we need to be prepared, so I would assume you could probably clamp it onto some of these things for conditional use permit, but you probably have to sue your way into that if you don't. What we're assuming versus what they're saying are two different things, we're finding out.
Assuming you
right,
get
so.
something better in the records, the better off you would be. You know?
I agree, because, I mean, even here, like, there's things like electrical transmission facility, does that count as a well, in my opinion, common sense again, I'd say it would, but they're gonna maybe argue that that's not a transmission facility, it's a storage facility.
It's all hinged on
Because
his
we
attorney's
use the word transmission instead of storage, now we can't permit it or something, I don't know, I mean, I'd say if we know about it, we need to do something about it, because if we don't do anything, then silence is consent, we're basically saying, yeah, we don't care, and we don't have to make it super restrictive, but we have to do something, but include it in the ordinance.
Yeah.
And, you know, do we lump it in with other things for a setback, maybe it's not a big deal, you don't have to go and do anything outrageous or anything new, just.
I'm surprised they've never been back with seismic and drilling them holes like in Braddock, that they have not been back in their ministry again.
Well, they're probably just figuring out a workaround for that too, that's
Oh,
why
they
they
are.
haven't been back, cause
So their
I
strategy.
think they were pretty surprised that we didn't let them do it, so.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, this is mostly just for discussion purposes, right? Do you have any suggestions or
Well,
whatever?
if you wanna include it on the 3% building or industrial fee or?
Well, I think the 3% is basically anything that would require an industrial conditional use permit, which an industrial conditional use permit was different than even a regular conditional use permit.
Well, see, when Next Air put
Campers
up
and stuff.
their wind farm, they had their own conditional use permit that they brought, and the commissions approved that. That
That
wasn't
they brought.
industrial. Yeah, they have their own that they have, you know, and the commission said, yeah, we'll use this. They brought it in and asked if it was okay, yeah.
Who was that beneficial to? How was that brought up? Beneficial to them?
Well,
No,
I would
it
assume
was-
just like their haul road agreement was beneficial to them, and there was, you're waiving your right to a jury trial, and you would have to mediate it in the state of incorporation, which would have been Delaware.
It was pretty much the same as what we had.
And, I mean, it wasn't like it was a huge travesty, but they had some nickels and dimes in there for themselves.
Joe draws something up so tight that they can't even
Well,
squeeze
no,
their
Dan,
nose.
if you do that, then we're anti-carbon, and
Anti-carbon.
we're anti-progress, anti-energy.
But we're not.
No, we obviously are, just listen to the radio,
I know.
read the paper.
Oh,
So,
God.
I guess for discussion's sakes, unless somebody's got an absolute I would say, correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, but any idea would be an amendment to the conditional use permit, so you would have to follow kind of the process as we've done before, probably a first reading, followed by a scheduled public hearing and a second reading, and then obviously a vote to amend it.
I imagine, yeah.
So-
Just like any other zoning ordinance.
And that would be the process, so I guess my suggestion is maybe something for the next meeting in June would be somebody come up with some kind of a draft that we could adopt as, because would you adopt that as the first reading if it was a draft we all agreed on and approved?
Right, you had the first reading, you proved that you had a first reading, and then you approved the final document, the second.
But nothing would be approved up to that point, like we wouldn't have to approve an amendment and then do a first reading, right? Like that would count as the first reading if we,
Right.
so like, let's just say Donnie brings in his idea to amend it, we like it or make a few changes and approve it, that's the first reading?
Right, as long as it's in the, you do it in a meeting, you have the reading, you approve that you did a reading.
And then you would schedule a public hearing, which usually coincides with the second reading then, in the public hearing, and then,
Right, unless you want, yeah. But that's how we've done in the past, that's how most like cities will do it too.
Sure.
And they usually have the public hearing at the meeting. You could do it a special public hearing if it's.
right, I mean, yeah, you could schedule a public hearing if you thought it was something where you needed to make sure everybody was there, you know, if you don't think it's gonna be a huge deal, you usually can do it in a meeting, but, so I guess the suggestion would be is, if you have opinions on what should happen in the county when it comes to these battery storage things, whether it's, you know, setbacks or requirements or anything,
So we know nothing about any of that stuff though, right? Like,
I mean, not-
What otherwise, I mean, how, are they toxic to whatever, or whatever?
Probably are, just like these EV vehicles that were out in Hawaii when that burnt. That was a disaster with the batteries.
Yeah, so that's what I mean, so what do we come up with, ordinances of setbacks and whatever else, and,
I don't know unless you know, how do you draw it up?
I don't know. That's what I-
well, and that's the only reason why I would just recommend not being too hasty on it or do any, you know, where we do something we don't understand, but I think Commissioner Miller's point is put it on the radar and
Look into it.
start doing some research, maybe there's some other counties that have something, maybe there's, you know, and start entertaining, we need to be in discussion of it, it's not something we gotta go and get approved here by July, but,
Maybe there's something on these old wind turbine sites.
yeah, I mean, and the other thing too, is, you know, if you
Andrew
wanna,
was one of the first ones in the state, was it not?
Edgley and Calm down here is an old one, right?
Do they have battery facilities on it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what's totally new to me when this guy came in. I knew nothing about it.
The other question would be is, I mean, obviously, I don't think we have a lot of conditional use permit discretion, or we need to double check on a lot of those too and see what covers if they would want to apply for some kind of a disposal site, you know, so start looking into some other counties. I think Burley's got a disposal site because of that Wilton Wind Farm, so they,
Do they?
I was told that there is some kind of disposal site. Now, I'm not saying they disposed all the blades, that they, maybe like a broken one or something, I think, I was told, and like I said, I don't have that confirmed, but,
Is there asbestos in that fiberglass?
oh, I would not even begin to speculate, and would probably assume no, just because asbestos is a no-no, but, I mean,
And air?
that doesn't mean there isn't other stuff, and right, what does, you know, Burley County is as good a county as any to probably reach out to as far as, hey, what are you doing for like zoning, and like, do they have a pit, how do they dispose of their stuff? Cause even like these ones, they've had broken blades, I don't know where they took them.
There was a
They never,
couple broken blades over at the Wishick landfill when that was still open.
so did they take them to Wishick then, or I don't know, cause they've never come to us with any kind of disposal site or anything that I know of,
So
so.
we should make it home back. So-
Because they even claim, that's just what I've read, there's merit to what you read, that somebody wrote, a journalist, that these blades, after X number of years, they start deteriorating, the material. And with the movement of them, you get these little fine little particles in the air, and you inhale them into your lung area. I don't know if there's gonna be merit to it, it's glass. Glass ends up in your lungs, it never,
It's fiberglass, that's all.
yeah, you never get rid of it.
Well, the state setback is 1,500 feet from your house, I'm sure they've done more than enough research, I would say that's probably adequate.
Absolutely.
I
So don't
wouldn't
even
see
talk
any reason to
anymore,
question,
you know.
I wouldn't see any reason to
What do you
question
think, Mr. Hanson?
state setback at all.
He's thinking it's 2:15.
But I haven't eaten lunch yet.
I'm not gonna comment on speculation, I'm not an expert.
We love to, so, I would say for now, it was great to bring up for discussion, I think it's
Yeah.
something we need to continue to look into, cause we're going to be facing it at
We'll
some
face
point.
it.
Something is gonna come up, so it should be on our radar, be ahead of the
We
schedule.
got a big thing coming up in June.
Yep, PSC hearing coming up is gonna be an interesting event. Well, that one probably lasts all day. Say 9 AM till probably, 5, 6.
Where's that?
It's gonna be
I'll show you there.
When is that again?
June 4th, Tuesday. So we have our
June
meeting on the
4th.
3rd, and then that PSC hearing is the next one. I believe it starts at usually 9 or
9 in
10,
the morning.
and it'll go till, I would say it'll go at least till 5 or 6. Easy.
Okay.
So
Oh, I got that,
it's
yeah.
Yeah, the Bismarck one was like 6, but they were planning on that being 3 days, and it went 1 day, so it was shorter, but. So, well, with that being the items on the agenda, I'd say the last things to do are the miscellaneous, which would be the building permits, looks like. First item on the list is the building permit for Jeremy Holzer to construct a 32 by 48 residence on lot 12A in Glenwood Acres, section 27, township 132, range 79.
Is that up at Kenny?
There's Jack Doctor's there.
Wait, who?
Jack Doctor?
Oh,
Yeah, so that's out right
And
along
it's
the river.
just south of that,
Oh, south of him?
yeah.
Oh, yeah, there is that.
Yeah,
Exactly.
he's starting to split these off and sell these off here, but, yeah, that building permit looks good, he's building right in the middle of the lot, setbacks are good, more than far enough, so.
Jeremy, isn't that Kenny's kid? Jeremy's Kenny's kid, right?
Setbacks are good, Josh says everything looks good.
Yep.
Have a motion
Oh,
to
okay.
approve, table, or deny the building permit for Jeremy Holzer.
We were to approve it.
Commissioner Miller moves to approve it, is there a second? Second by Commissioner Everly, is there any more discussion on the building permit for Jeremy Holzer? Not hearing any, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Permit approved. Next is a building permit for Bruce and Dixie Bosch. That is to move in a 12 by 16 shed on Rice Lake subdivision, section 4, township 129, range 75.
Is that the north or the south?
That's the south side there.
South. I'll make a motion to approve it.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Holmes, or second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Materi, any more discussion? Not hearing any, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Permit approved. Next is a building permit for Jesus and Taylor Maggiorani, I'm horrible with that last name there, to construct a 75 by 87 residence with a 24 by 47 garage on the east half, the southeast quarter, the northeast quarter of section 13, township 133, range 76. That is one of the old Sandwick farms, northeast of John Beck's, which that would be Taylor's his daughter, so her and her husband are gonna put a house on that.
Yeah, It's set back a ways.
It's the, I didn't know that, see, I always thought the old Sandwick farm was the one south of Lyle Wool. That is also a Sandwick farm too, there's two of them, I didn't know that, so.
I'll make a motion.
So we got a motion by Commissioner Everly to approve the building permit, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Miller. Is there any more discussion? And I will be abstaining due to a conflict of interest, as I am doing some work on this project, so. We have a motion and a second for the approval of the permit, is there any more discussion? Not hearing any, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I abstain. Permit is approved. Next is a permit for, oh, well, we'll keep moving on, there's one other thing that we can talk about, so this is building permit for your home improvement company to replace 10 windows at Lisa Mock residence located in the southwest quarter, northeast quarter, section 31, township 136, range 74. So this one is for Lisa Mock and some Carrie and Lisa Mock, that's the same,
Yeah,
out by Goose Lake there, it looks like just window installation, so. Motion to approve, table or deny?
Motion to approve.
Commissioner Miller makes a motion to approve, is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Materi, any more discussion? Not hearing any, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Permit approved. Next to be a building permit for Eric Home to erect an 80 by 120 shop on the south half of the southwest quarter, section 3, township 130, range 75.
There's a spot he leveled off here, so ways back there. So that's a good.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Everly to approve the building permit for Eric Home, is there a second? Second by Commissioner Materi, any more discussion? Not hearing any, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Permit approved. Next to be a building permit for Lance Jangler to erect an 81 by 200 shop in the southwest quarter of the section 16, township 132, range 75.
He's gonna put it here on the east side of the road, it's gonna be over 125 feet, so he's
He's going southeast.
gonna put it right here.
He's gonna go east-west then with it or something?
Yeah, it was,
200 feet, you gotta ask with setbacks,
yeah,
it's gonna be getting close to something.
That's a good building.
That is,
It'll be
a
a
huge
snow deal if
building.
you're not careful.
Yeah.
That's
It'll be a snow deal.
yeah, it was going east-west and the west end was.
Okay, well, if it's going east and west, then it shouldn't really be too big of a deal, so, okay.
Because he asked me, he actually might move back further, because he may put a house eventually in there too, just to make sure there's enough room,
Okay.
so.
So a motion to approve, table or deny the building permit for Lance Jangula?
I'll make a motion
Just Larry.
Yep. Commissioner Holm makes a motion to approve, is there a second?
Yeah.
Seconded by Commissioner Materi, any more discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Permit approved. The last are the, certificate of survey for tracks B, C, and D located on the section 3, township 133, range 77 of the principal meridian.
Let's do it by this property.
This must be out at the home place or something like that out there?
Yeah, right?
Yep,
By the old Neil Biden's pocket place.
yeah, I think that's right here.
What do we wanna do
And
there?
he wants to subdivide
Well,
lots.
they're dividing it, so they're creating lots on both the west and east side of the road going there, so they can sell the west half, or the west part here, and then the east part, and then, was it their son, got that one, and then their,
That was a trailer or something.
yeah, they put a trailer in there, but basically they platted it so it follows the road going in and create a lot on the west side and then the east side of the road. And there's no issues with them, they're all,
Subdividing it, but it's still gonna be agricultural stuff, right? Like it's not.
Yeah, they're not
development lots,
creating-
it's just- Right,
yeah,
okay.
they're just giving them tract numbers, so when they do a deed, they can just say tract A, tract B, instead of
Okay.
by meets and bounds.
So when you say breaking it into lots, first thing that came to mind was that's not
No.
a public road, so they start building houses back there. Okay,
Just conveying to family members.
yep, okay.
That was what we're going
I
to.
mean, everything looks like it's notarized, stamped.
Yeah, it is.
Stamped by a licensed surveyor, everything looks all right. You didn't see any issues, Josh? Anybody else wanna look at this before we fold it up? The motion to approve, table, or deny the survey certificate for Leon Beetlesprocher.
I'll approve it. Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Materi to approve, is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Miller, is there any more discussion on the approval of the certificate of survey for Leon Beetlesprocher? Not hearing any, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Did we each get a copy of that?
I don't sign this actual plat, do I? There's like a.
You get a copy of that, license too?
I'll sign it afterwards, just rolled it up. Okay, last will be the, select a member of the commission to serve on the Lewis and Clark Regional Development Council, replacing Leonard Weichel.
No, that's good for you.
Leonard served
So you meet 3 or 4 times a year in Bismarck, or you can do Teams online. There's no wage, but they do reimburse you for mileage.
It'll reimburse me for mileage.
Pardon me?
It'll reimburse me for mileage.
They will reimburse you for mileage.
Gary, that's good for you.
Huh?
Go ahead and do it. No, you don't wanna do it?
No, I'm off pretty quick.
What do you think of you then?
That's for the rules.
Lewis and Clark Regional Development. They write grants, help me out, you guys, like I know the Hay grocery store, didn't they get grants or
You know,
something?
they wanted one, but I don't know. if
Oh,
were-
they didn't get one,
Lewis and Clark is an entity that's basically created to help be a funding pathway for specific community projects. Like, the state or the feds can't just give money to the Hay grocery store, they have to give it through an entity, that's why they create things like the Lewis and Clark. There's certain qualifications you have to meet, whether it's, financial stuff, population size.
Well, you
We're-
you're on board.
We're members of it, there's several
Yeah.
counties involved, that's probably it's a big board, 7 to 11 people or something, I mean, cause there's multiple counties that have at least one representative, then there's like an executive, there's probably,
and I know they help the cities out with some development grants or whatever.
right, it's just like any of the numerous things where they have grant money available through whatever funding bill through the feds or the state, and they administer it, and if you qualify, you can get funding for.
I wonder if the Lytton Airport could have got money for this.
Well, the Lytton Airport may or may not qualify for some of that stuff, no different than when they do a sewer and water project in town, or they renovate a building like on Main Street here, I think the Hope Building might have
Yeah,
been.
they were.
That was a Lewis and Clark project, so when you get the right city, county together and apply for the Lewis and Clark, and they have funding available, you can get a project. Depending on what parameters there are, so.
You can't point to Joe, Joe can't do
Well,
it.
sure, Joe, do you wanna do that?
Absolutely not.
How about you, Aaron, do you wanna do it?
Well, I don't know, Donnie and Gary are done, and I'm supposed to resign, that leaves you and Craig, so.
And yes, I can.
You guys wanna play paper, rock, scissors? I don't know, 3 of us might not be here, I don't know.
I might be
So,
resigning too after today.
Wait till the silver points.
I have to sort it out, I guess, I don't know, I mean, whatever,
I run the Bismarck already for meetings 4 times a year, so.
I have enough
Well,
obligations to go, so.
that'd be just right then, if you're running up there anyway.
No, I do it
Do
4
they have
times
to
already,
do
I
this?
don't need it anymore.
I
So
just-
when did Leonard's term come up, like just like July here or
Well,
something?
they just called and they said, they were gonna start having meetings again, and they realized he wasn't done.
Oh, I'm sure, well,
You're gonna have to be a commissioner.
we have the same issue with like the social service board, that's why we created terms on the social service board, because certain people are up at certain times, people resign, it's like, well, this term needs to be filled out with it, so you have to kind of create that, so I suppose.
Are you
Leonard-
on any boards, Gary?
Yeah,
Well, Gary's the Lewis and Clark one, isn't he?
and on that one in Bismarck, I go 4 times a year,
That's the one here.
community-
Community development.
Yeah.
Isn't that it?
That's
This
Lewis
is
and
it.
Clark.
Is this the Lewis and Clark?
They need 2 commissioners on there, or is that different?
It's different,
That's
this is for backpacks and stuff like that,
Oh.
home improvement,
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's different.
Like if a
For
home
what?
can apply for
Backpacks.
windows in their.
So this is different than the
Well, they
Lewis
got
and Clark one?
backpacks in Bismarck, they prepare backpacks for kids and stuff like that, and, and home insulation, windows, improvement, furnaces for people and stuff like
That's
that.
community action, you're saying?
Community
right?
action,
That's the
that's
one, okay, that's,
Community
yeah,
action,
okay,
that's
okay,
what
yeah.
Do you help install the windows and stuff too then? I'm just,
Do you go out and do an assessment of the house and stuff?
no,
I don't know,
it's just,
I didn't know you were to approve
It's
this.
a bore. It's a bore. See, that's why you gotta get on boards like this, then you learn.
Oh.
Yeah, see, but you don't have enough experience with boards, I think.
Yeah, I've experienced some of them that I don't wanna be on.
So these are materials of shoe in?
You wanna do them, Eric? Go ahead.
Second.
That's good, you're young yet.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah,
young,
yeah, I
you
know
can be
that.
seasoned.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Should I make a motion to
I make a
vote
mo-
for that Aaron Mangum as the one to be?
I
on the
will
Lewis
decline it,
Park
I don't
Foundation?
have enough time, I'm already on the social service board, I'm on the public
Dan,
health
Terry,
board.
You're a perfect candidate.
I'll make a motion to nominate Dan.
Yep, I'll second that one.
Motion and a second to appoint Dan Materi to the board, any more discussion? Not hearing any, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No, yay, no.
You don't have to serve an entire term, we can rotate it a year.
Can you
It's too
rotate?
much. We
Okay.
could rotate it, we'll do somebody else next year.
did you really vote no, Dan?
Yeah, I did.
Doesn't matter, 4 people voted yes. Board
Doesn't
ruled.
matter, approved, I guess, right?
Board ruled. Okay, next is bills.
I need to remember that, public
There you
work
are.
facility thing.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, we can start that.
You wouldn't have yapped on so long there for a few times, we would've been out of here a long
I
time.
forgot to ask Skylar about the truck.
Nothing was said. Nothing said. You shut them off.
And then those
You
two
can't
minutes.
until the meeting's over with.
I'm just not in favor of it. If I'm the superintendent and I need to park, go get it. And if you really feel I need to be reimbursed, submit the bill. I had little, what's her name, Sean. I'm just happy for what she
Looks
did.
like it's raining again.
She's got an
Is it?
employee.
Looks like it.
Oh, yeah, the windows are wet.
No county property park.
Yeah,
I
that,
agree, it was something big, that I could see.
Most
But
of
it's
it,
a bag of bolts or something.
oh, this went longer than I thought it would.
there's 5 carriers,
Right.
plus this veteran's wife. And nothing against anybody abusing it.
Yeah.
But that was the agreement that you guys had, and it's in the minutes.
Yeah, that was, like moving down here too, that was part of the deal.
It was correct, right?
I can do it together.
And then pretty soon, well,
And I don't want to nitpick, but I remember that I asked him, you come on, I didn't know what your agreements were.
yeah, that was part of the agreement, he was supposed to move down, but then we figured, well, if he gets down here in time and whatever else, kind of let that slide there. Huh?
Just put it there, I'm just-
Yeah. And then like Gary said, you know, we gave him
$3,000.
gave him more money just to
Oh, that's,
compensate.
yeah, that's what we did.
And you did,
Yeah,
it's in the minutes.
yeah. Yeah.
And handbooks are there for a reason, I guess. There's no federal or state deal that lets that happen.
Yeah, probably not.
That doesn't happen. And I'm not picking on anybody in particular, you know, it's just, it's not right.
That's just like these setbacks too, you know, I mean, some of them like this with Wes, he's in a tight spot there, he wants to put it there, but.
With what?
Like Wes, I mean, he's in a tight spot there where he wants to put it, but,
He didn't set that farm back.
no.
He took it over from his uncle.
Right,
He's just trying to work around
right,
the placement of these buildings
yeah,
with a thought process that wasn't there long-term, what he may do. Look at the hoop barn he put up there. I drove down there 2 years ago when I was camping. Oh, there was mud that deep and he had holes in there. And I, holy crap.
yeah.
He looked at me one and I said, get out of here, so you're in a soup hole like I am. I said, they homesteaded here because the water was shallow.
Yeah,
That's why they homesteaded, they could pour a well by Emmons.
yeah.
That's why I'd like to see them move it up there where his other deal is.
Yeah, you know how it is.
How do you do that?
He's got a
It's all
house
you can't
there,
do.
you know, like me too, I come out of my house, I don't wanna walk a half mile to get to my shop.
Yeah.
You probably want, you could run the four-wheel.
Huh?
Side by side.
Yeah, but every, you know, in the wintertime, I
And it's storming, and he goes out to check 600 cows that are cattle.
yeah,
You don't start to move it up there, you never will.
Oh,
You just
yeah.
keep building on that.
Yeah.
whole-
You can't move the whole farm,
yeah.
it'll never happen. What is he, he's gotta be close to 50 bucks.
Less, probably pretty close.
Pretty close, I'd say. Shit, Dennis's dad is 72.
Dennis is 72.
He was 2 years ahead of me in high school. So Wes has gotta be 40-some years old, close to 50.
I don't know if you ever bought that place from Glenn.
I don't know. He must have, he wouldn't be doing what he's doing. Because he's never gonna go out of Dennis's place on it.
I thought he would
I
eventually,
did too.
but Dennis is a little, I mean,
He still sees Dennis, don't he?
I don't think so.
You know,
Not just down here by me anymore.
you know,
West sees that all now.
okay, he was working on the planter when I was up there last summer. He was up there.
Dennis? Oh,
He was out, it was cold when I drove it, he looked at me. And when my feather, he broke out laughing, he used to. And I didn't know he's had some health issues too,
oh, I didn't know that.
and her.
Oh, Aaron, I did talk to the mayor. He agreed too. He said, yeah, we had an agreement.
Yeah,
Oh.
we got him something, I remember doing that, I totally remember.
Oh, with that deal.
With the road. Yeah, he said, yeah, we signed off on it. I said, yeah, I know we did.
And then they probably got the copy and never gave you a copy of it.
Yeah, something happened,
Huh?
something happened there, cause I remember feeling like finally we got that sorted out, so.
And it could be it's on the shop too.
You really surprised me that you caught that, I didn't think you were that sharp at it. I thought you were feeling.
You really want to make your birthday plan this Sunday or what?
Mary said, how often does she can go?
Oh, yeah, she comes down here. She
She
tries.
works out here.
She's got an office back in the treasurer's.
Yeah, so,
Back there, yeah, she's got a desk.
I just asked her what she
She
was.
does
I mean, we got a lot of,
like,
like,
but there's
little
meetings
just-
down here.
I mean, we got, plumbing job type stuff or whatever, but like all the other stuff we were gonna be working on, nobody's got basements,
Pardon me?
nobody's. Everybody that we're waiting on a house, they have the houses, the roads are all getting, even the highways, like, they're not letting old houses on the highways. I had an excavator in the general equipment getting some warranty work done. I said, man, your guys' lot's full of equipment, man. He goes, well, it's all sold. We're like, "Well," he goes, yeah, but the DOT was just tougher than heck. I wouldn't let them move in like them big excavators that weigh, 125,000 pounds. They wouldn't let them move a lot of that stuff. And if they did, they wanted like $10,000 permits and stuff. So general equipment's got their whole lot up there full of equipment that's ready to roll. They just
Gotta wait for the
Yep.
road restrictions.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we got one more day of taking those bleachers out, that'll be clean out in the basement for the auditorium.
Oh, who's doing that now?
Who's just?
The South Central
He wants to
Threshers.
rent the rent.
Oh, they're taking
He
them up
used to run the pizza shop.
Well, the threshers, I'd be able to use them then, huh? That'd be a good deal.
Yep,
There we go.
they're gonna make them portable, so Strasburg needs them, they can use them for the roof.
That's a good idea.
Set them on a trailer and take them down to wherever.
He works on like, I know he can keep blades on like a down.
So you can put that money towards your handicap ramp.
He was the one that we got from the county.
Yeah, once it gets nice, boy, stuff's gonna hit the fan. Shit's gonna hit the fan.
Well, that's the thing, everybody's gonna be so busy trying to get everything done in the next,
If you, like you say, this meeting we got in May here, 20th, I don't know,
Do you know my question?
maybe it's gonna rain,
Yeah. I'd say just wait 2 weeks and find out.
but I guess.
You can squeeze it in.
Huh?
You can squeeze it in.
That means I just gotta work later at night.
Yeah.
Somebody else wrote on that.
Huh?
Schedule for the.
Yeah, give it 4-day week, yeah. Well, I'm gonna get nothing done on that 4-day week. Are you done?
I thought we'd be done at noon today.
I did too.
But you guys are done with the bills?
With what?
You're done looking at stuff?
That's it,
Okay.
unless there's another pile.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn if everybody's ready.
Bingo.
I don't think that counts. You have a motion to adjourn?
Second,
Who made the motion?
you did.
Material went bingo.
Bingo does not count as a proper motion.
That's not your motion.
I'm standing on it. No, I will not accept that.
Okay, so who first did it then?
I'll first.